guys beat me to the punch. Again. You guys beat me to the punch for the second straight week in a row. There's already people watching, and there's already thumbs up. You got David Maniscalco watching. Danielle's watching. It is unreal. Looks like I'm going to have to start changing the catchphrase. Matt Moody's even watching. Matt Moody's watching. Danielle's watching. We got David Maniscalco watching. Man, you guys beat me to the punch. Looks like I'm gonna have to start gaining the upper hand on you guys, some way, somehow. But well, I can't say my normal phrase. I always say we're live and there's nobody watching. Why is that? Damn it! Damn it! What's going on, Peanuts? I'm not dabbing. I'm not dabbing, Danielle. So let's share this out. Let's share it out. We're going to share it out on all platforms, social media. Thank you very much for sharing. Cool King. Yeah, get your popcorn. Trust me. We're going to be ranting a lot. I'm telling you, we're going to be ranting a lot in this stream. We have a lot to rant about. We got a lot to talk about. It is going to be a very, very eventful Lightning Flash update. This could very well go over 3 hours with all the rants that I got stored up. So trust me on that. It is not going to be pretty if you are a fan of World Wrestling Entertainment. Or if you're a cocksucker of World Wrestling Entertainment specifically. Let's check the the signal looks fine. The signal's fine on my end. I'm not sure what's going on your end. I think if it's raining over there, then I think it may be a signal issue on your end. Danielle, I believe you shared. You did. You did. How you doing? Adam, how you doing, my friend? It is going to be a Rantapalooza. Rantapalooza part number 2. Courtesy of your boy, DJ Storms. Courtesy of your boy, DJ Storms. It's going to be a Rantapalooza. So, we're just sharing it out, getting some people in here. Come on. Share it out to a few more people, then we'll get started. Oh, trust me, they're coming. They are coming. I'd say we can get started. Yes, it is. It's TLC from 2018 playing in the background. You are very, very good with that, Adam. Anyway, let's fix up the camera. There we go. I'm going to rant on that, Cool King. I'm going to rant on that. But for now, we have some things to go over first. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only DJ Storms. And I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to the channel on YouTube.com. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy, and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle, Wait for it. Wait for it. To mankind, this is the official Lightning Flash update for Saturday, December 12th, 2020, and I got a little dizzy on that. I don't know why I did that. Cameron Johnson is in the chat. Danielle's dying of laughter. So, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about here in the Lightning Flash update. It's going to be full of rants. It's going to be full of rants. We got a lot of things to rant on. We got a lot of things to absolutely rip WWE a new asshole over. So, trust me, if you're into rants, strap in. So, before we get into the rants, check the chat for a minute. Danielle's here, Peanuts is here, Cool King's here, Adam's here, Cameron Johnson is here. We got 8 thumbs up. Good start, good start. So, first things first, before we get into the rants here, Hannah is also here, and she just shared out the stream as well. She shared out the stream. Thank you very much, Hannah. Thank you very much, Hannah. I greatly appreciate you. Stick around because we are going to be ranting and raving. But first things first, before we get into the rants, before we get into the raving, if you guys haven't already done so, please follow me on the Twitter sticks at HistoryMakerDJ, as you'll find out why I am the operator of the best damn Twitter handle known to mankind. Follow me on Instagram and Periscope at TheDJStorms. Add me on Facebook as well for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver at gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, we have reached 100 members, so thank you to everyone who made that possible. We reached 100 members on the DJ Storms Posse Facebook group. Of course, Danielle is on there. Of course, Cool King is on there. Of course, Adam, I believe, is on there as well. If he's not, I'll be sure to add him. But please, please, please go check out all of those links. All those links are in the description. I will place them in the description after the stream is finished. On Monday, we had the rewind for NXT TakeOver War Games 2020, and it's doing great. I believe it's at 150 views. I believe it's at almost 40 likes, and I was not expecting it to do so well, considering how dead the NXT product really is, but it did great. Great numbers, great views, great likes. So I want to thank you guys for showing support for the brand on the rewind for TakeOver War Games 2020. So if you guys missed that, I will place the link in the description after the stream is over, of course. We're going a long time, so trust me, you're going to want to strap in for this one. Now, I appreciate the congratulations on 100 members on the Posse group on Facebook, but here's what I need you guys to do. If you haven't already done so, I don't understand why you wouldn't have already done so, but there is a like button. I believe it's right there. It's really not that hard. It's right there. So I'm going to need you to hit the like button when you come into the stream, because I want this stream to expand, and I want everyone upon everyone to come into the stream, because we're going to have a party. It is a party on a Saturday. Rant-a-palooza Part 2. So I need you guys to hit that thumbs up so that way the stream will get into the eyes of many other people, as well as I need you guys to share out the stream on all platforms of social media, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, Tumblr, or Pinterest. I need this stream to be shared out everywhere. Everywhere. Share out the stream everywhere. So that way we can get as many people in here as possible, because we are going to be ranting and raving. I will keep up with the chat. Trust me on that. Of course. When you share out the stream, you got to make sure that you keep the chat alive. You got to keep the chat rolling, so that way That way the conversation will be sparked up. That way the interest level will always be at an all-time high with the DJ Storms brand. So you gotta make sure you keep the chat rolling, talk amongst yourselves. I will keep up to date with you after every single section that we do here in the Lightning Flash update. And of course, when you keep the chat rolling, you gotta make sure that you hit that subscribe button, because I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to expand. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. 1 minute they're purging my subscribers, 1 minute they're giving my subscribers back. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but regardless of that, YouTube is fucking ridiculous. YouTube is really fucking ridiculous, but please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And of course, if you haven't already done so, please hit the notifications bell with the huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is the best time to be on YouTube. It's the only time you're going to get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. Is there even a question? That's right. That's right. Right there. Everybody wants a piece of the Storms Meister. Hello, Earl Cole. Yes, Dynamite snagged 1 million viewers. Please hit that like button. We have 9 people in the chat right now and only 8 likes. That's not right. And we need more people in the chat. We need at least 10, 15 people in the chat. Come on. Come on. No, you won't, Danielle. No, you won't. Ice cold water right there. So we got a lot of material to dissect, and we are going to get straight into it. We are going to get straight into it, and we got the first report. I will check the chat after I do the news, rumors, and reports, so keep the chat rolling. But first things first, we're going to jump into the news, rumors, and reports here. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of news, rumors, and reports. So first things first, per Wrestling Inc., the Kenny Omega appearance on Impact this past Tuesday was a one-off. Of course, we all know that that is not true because Kenny Omega was actually announced that he's coming back to Impact. So it's an actual partnership. It is not a one-off. But a little piece of information that Wrestling Inc. reported is that the Good Brothers, yes, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, the current Impact World Tag Team Champions, will be coming to AEW for a match. Now that is actually very, very intriguing. I'm not sure if it's going to be permanent. It could be a crossover type match. We could see the Good Brothers versus FTR, or the Good Brothers versus Jurassic Express, or the Good Brothers versus the Young Bucks. It is definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm actually very, very interested to see what they do. I'm not sure how many more appearances we are going to get out of Kenny Omega when he's appearing on Impact, but either way, I am just along for the ride for this partnership. This isn't really something that I'm going to rant over. This isn't really something I'm going to rant over. The rants are coming. The rants are coming. Just wait. Just wait. So I wanted to report on that, but Kenny Omega and the Impact appearance, it's not a one-off. He's actually appearing next Tuesday on Impact. And on top of that, the Good Brothers are likely to come over to AEW for a match. Against who, I don't know. But it should be interesting to see who they face. And, of course, we also got a report that Don Callis' contract with Impact Wrestling will be expiring very soon. And he's looking to move over to AEW to continue the on-screen business partnership with Kenny. And I'm actually very, very interested in that. Don Callis and Kenny Omega have been doing some great work for the last week. They have been keeping everyone intrigued. They have everyone on the edge of their seat waiting to see what they do next. So I'm actually very, very intrigued to see what Don Callis and Kenny Omega have in store for the foreseeable future. It is going to be very, very, very interesting. I am very much looking forward to it. So we got a report from WrestleVotes. We got a report from WrestleVotes. Now, WrestleVotes WrestleVotes has been a fairly accurate source as of lately. WrestleVotes has been a fairly accurate source as of lately, and they have been tweeting out a lot of reports concerning WrestleMania. Now, this report has not been directly concerned with WrestleMania. However, it is an interesting report. It is an interesting report nonetheless. Now, WrestleVotes tweeted out on Monday a tweet related to the on-screen returns of Charlotte Flair and Andrade. It read, and I quote, "An idea that's been discussed, however not determined at this point, is an on-screen pairing of Charlotte and Andrade when they return to TV. The idea is that behind it is to use Charlotte's star power to elevate Andrade into the main event scene." End quote. Now, I do not want to see Charlotte Flair back. I don't know who the fuck would want to see Charlotte Flair back on television. Matter of fact, a lot of people, including myself, would wish that Charlotte Flair would just fucking retire because she is an absolute detriment to the women's division in every way, shape, and form. And that's not on her. That's on the way that she's booked. But I will say this. Charlotte Flair and Andrade having an on-screen pairing, that's actually very intriguing. And if that gets Andrade into the main event scene, I would actually have no problem with that. I would have absolutely no problem with that. This is actually interesting because Andrade, ever since he came up from NXT, he has been wasted in every way, shape, and form, and they didn't even invest in 10% of what him and Zelina Vega were in NXT. So Andrade has been completely wasted for 2 years. If anything, this right here, this could help Andrade. And if this on-screen pairing helps Andrade win the Rumble and potentially face Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, and he beats Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship, I am all for that. Andrade is a main event level talent. All you need to do is go watch his match against Johnny Gargano at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia back at the beginning of 2018, and you will see where Andrade belongs. So I would have no problem with this. If Andrade wins the Rumble, he faces McIntyre, he beats McIntyre, I am all for that. It's new, it's fresh, it's something that's never been done before, and it gives the Rumble win to an up-and-coming star that is legitimately looked at as the future. And Andrade winning the WWE Championship, having an on-screen pairing with Charlotte, it sucks that Charlotte needs to be the deciding factor to get Andrade into the main event scene. But if Andrade's in the main event scene as WWE Champion, take my money. Take my money. I am all for that. I am all for it. Now, speaking of the Rumble, I got a report from Bovada. According to Bovada, by way of Ringside News, the names that are rumored to win the 2021 Men's Royal Rumble match are Big E and Edge. Now, I don't know why Edge would be rumored to win the Rumble unless Orton is WWE Champion, which in this case he's not, and God forbid they do another Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton match. Edge is going to be in the Rumble some way, shape, or form, and he's going to be there specifically to get a shock and awe moment out of Randy Orton. He's going to eliminate Randy Orton, and that's going to set up their final matchup at WrestleMania, which I have absolutely no problem with. I have no problem with that. Now, Big E, that is an interesting pick. And I actually would have no problem with Big E. Now, I prefer Daniel Bryan because that is the better told story for Roman Reigns going into WrestleMania. But if Big E wins the Rumble, I would have no problem with that. He's got a new entrance theme. He's got a new entrance with he brought back the weightlifting chalk. If he would get a little bit more serious, then maybe I'd be fully behind him. But we'll see what happens. And I actually would not mind seeing Big E versus Roman Reigns. That sounds like a very interesting matchup. It sounds like a matchup that is very intriguing to a certain extent because you don't necessarily know how they're going to book it. You'd be interested to see the promo work between Big E and Roman Reigns. I'd actually like to see what Big E can do when he's face-to-face with Roman Reigns in a promo rather than just a wrestling match, because we all know that Big E's a great wrestler. But I would actually like to see what Big E can do against Roman Reigns on the microphone with this new heel gimmick that Roman Reigns has. So if Big E wins the Rumble, I actually would not mind him seeing him take on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and he beats Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Sounds like a pretty damn good match to me. Sounds like a pretty damn good outcome. You could build a new star that way. Now, this came as a shock because Rhea Ripley is currently the favorite to win the Women's Royal Rumble match next year. This came as a surprise to many. A lot of people were expecting Charlotte Flair to come back, win the Rumble. A lot of people called Ronda Rousey. I've been calling Bianca Belair, and to be quite honest, I would still go with Bianca Belair, but Rhea Ripley winning the Rumble, this actually comes as a shock to me. This actually comes as a shock to me because this is actually a great decision. This is a great decision. I'd love to see Rhea Ripley win the Rumble. She's got all the time in the world. She's very, very young, and I would love to see Rhea Ripley get a big moment in the Rumble. I'd love to see her win the Royal Rumble, and I'd love to see her go on to WrestleMania to fight either Sasha Banks or Asuka. But you see, here's the thing that worries me. I have the vision of either Rhea versus Sasha, which I don't think is going to happen. I think they're going to save that. I think they're going to save that for another time. Sasha and Bianca is still the WrestleMania match. Now, you can have Bianca win the Rumble, or you can have Bianca go through the Elimination Chamber. And if Rhea Ripley wins the Rumble, you can have Bianca go through the Elimination Chamber. You could have Bianca, Bayley, Carmella, Liv, Ruby, and Natalya. And that's your Women's Elimination Chamber match. And Bianca goes forth and wins the Elimination Chamber. That's her route to Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 37. And you can still get Bianca and Sasha. Rhea Ripley versus Asuka, that is a different story. And that is a much better idea because it's new, it's fresh. Asuka really doesn't have any challengers right now outside of Shayna Baszler, and you're pretty much wasting Shayna Baszler in a tag team with Nia. Rhea and Asuka sounds like a great fucking match. Rhea Ripley beating Asuka and taking the Raw Women's Championship going into the summer. Then you could build towards Rhea and Shayna again at SummerSlam. That sounds like a great fucking idea. But the problem here is nothing is stopping the WWE from having Charlotte Flair come back, which she's due back any day now. You know for a fact she's coming back. Charlotte Flair's going to come back. There's nothing that's stopping WWE from booking Charlotte Flair versus Asuka at the Royal Rumble. Rhea could win the Rumble, and we can get a rematch from last year's WrestleMania, only this time with the roles reversed, with Charlotte as the champion, Rhea as the Royal Rumble winner, and Rhea Ripley wins the Raw Women's title off of Charlotte. But even then, I don't have any faith that they're going to do that. Matter of fact, even if Rhea wins the Rumble and takes the Raw Women's title off of Charlotte, how effective would it really have been? It would be 1 year too late. I don't give a shit about this story of redemption for Rhea. Who the fuck gives about a redemption? Who gives a fuck about a redemption story? This is about doing what's right. This is about building towards the future. You had the opportunity to do the right thing a year ago, and you didn't. Matter of fact, a report came out that Rhea was actually supposed to win. There was two pitched ideas to have a triple threat match between Bianca, Charlotte, and Rhea, and Rhea was originally slated to retain. Both of those ideas had Rhea retaining, but Vince said, no, we're going to have Charlotte go over. Why? Because Charlotte Flair needs to be in the main event spotlight, and on top of that, Vince McMahon, of course, wanted to put Charlotte on NXT to see if she could drive in the ratings to beat All Elite Wrestling. That's it. Why did we need an unnecessary 9-week reign from Charlotte as the NXT Women's Champion. You had the opportunity to do the right thing, and you failed back at WrestleMania 36. You failed. Don't try and do another match and try and shove this redemption story down everyone's throat. You're pretty much admitting that you fucked up. How effective would it really be? Think about this. How effective would it really be if Rhea Ripley beat Charlotte after only a 2-month title reign from Charlotte versus if she beat Asuka and Asuka held the title for 7-8 months? Think about that. Asuka holds the title from August to WrestleMania, which is in either March or April. Don't you think it would be a lot more effective if Rhea Ripley beat Asuka after Asuka held the title for 220 days and Rhea Ripley was the one to finally dethrone Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship? Just think about it. Rather than having Charlotte win the championship, only to hold it for 2 months and be a transitional champion. Because that's all that Charlotte is. She has about 10 different transitional championship title reigns. Why? Just so she can say that, hey, I have as many title reigns as my father. Simple as that. Simple as that. I have no problem with Rhea Ripley winning the Rumble, but if she is going to win the Royal Rumble, she is to face Asuka. Asuka and Rhea, Sasha and Bianca is your 2 WrestleMania women's title matches. That's how you do it. That's how you make WrestleMania a must-see event. That is how you do women's wrestling. Not Charlotte having another transitional championship title reign just to drop it to Rhea. Bullshit on the redemption story. Shove the redemption story up your ass. I don't need that. I don't need that. Speaking of the Rumble and WrestleMania, oh my God. Don't even get me started. You want a rant? You thought that rant was good? Listen to this. Goldberg, William Goldberg, you know, that guy. William Goldberg, he was on the bump. Who the fuck watches the bump? The bump on Wednesday at 10 a.m., you know where I was at 10 a.m. on Wednesday? Sleeping! Because no one gives a fuck about the bump. He was on the bump on Wednesday, and he called out Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is next, is what he said. Roman Reigns then responded by saying, I decide who's next. WrestleVotes tweeted out an update related to this story. The tweet read, and I quote, WM, source stressed nothing is close to official or concrete, but as a working idea, the following is what's being considered. Reigns versus Goldberg, Edge versus Orton, and an interesting twist. McIntyre versus Lesnar versus Keith Lee. Lots of variables in play, especially the attendance factor. End quote. Now, when I heard this, I was about ready to check myself into a hospital because my blood pressure raised tenfold, and I'm only 21, and I got fucking blood pressure problems because of this fucking company. So, let me get this straight. You're bringing back Goldberg to fight Reigns at WrestleMania after everything that Reigns has done ever since he's come back, and you're pretty much going to soil everything. You're pretty much going to soil everything that you've done with Roman Reigns by putting him in a match with Goldberg. A 3-minute match just to say you have spear versus spear. Because you really think that Goldberg is working a match over 3 minutes? Please. You really think he's working a match over 3 minutes? Goldberg should be nowhere near a fucking wrestling ring, let alone a universal title match at WrestleMania. I don't even need to go into that much detail as to why this is a bad idea. But you take a look at the landscape of the WWE right now. Why do we need Goldberg? Why do we need Goldberg? And here's something that I don't understand. Vince McMahon apparently thinks that Goldberg is still a draw, yet the majority of the wrestling community is saying that we don't want to see Goldberg. So if the wrestling community is saying we don't want to see Goldberg, what does Vince McMahon even have in mind? What is Vince McMahon even thinking? Do you think that no means yes? I don't have any words. I really don't. I really don't. I'm just at a loss for words. I can't formulate the correct sentences. There's not enough words in the English dictionary. There's not enough words in the English language. There's not enough words in the English language to describe how bad of an idea this is. And I'm looking at the WrestleMania card, and the only match that makes sense is Edge versus Orton. It's the only one that makes sense. Reigns and Goldberg, and then we got McIntyre, Lesnar, and Keith Lee. Here's my question. Who the fuck wins the Royal Rumble? Keith Lee? If that's the case, then how the fuck are you going to justify Lesnar getting into that match? If Keith Lee wins the Rumble, how the fuck are you going to justify Lesnar getting into that match and getting a WWE title match at WrestleMania? Does Lesnar win the Rumble? I hope to God fucking not. And don't even get me started on Goldberg winning the Royal Rumble. I swear, if Goldberg wins the Royal Rumble, it will be undoubtedly the biggest waste of a Royal Rumble winner since Vince McMahon won it in 1999. The fact that I'm even talking about Goldberg in the Royal Rumble and possibly winning the Royal Rumble, that is absolutely fucking ridiculous in its own right. There's no reason for a Goldberg-Roman Reigns match, but if you ask me, if you absolutely have to get a Roman Reigns-Goldberg match out there, why not just fucking do it at the Rumble? Why not do it at the Rumble to get Roman Reigns through the Rumble? Quick, easy 3-minute match, and that's it. Or just do it at the Elimination Chamber. Just do it at the Elimination Chamber. Why the fuck do we need Goldberg? And how are you going to justify Goldberg getting a Universal title match? What, just because we didn't get the matchup that we were supposed to get up at WrestleMania? Seriously. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. How the fuck can you justify Goldberg winning the Rumble? And if Keith Lee wins the Rumble, how are you going to justify Lesnar getting into a WWE title match? Oh, just because he's Brock Lesnar? He's been off of television for almost a fucking year. Now, Ringside News actually came out with a report that debunked this tweet. Ringside News came out. They stated that Vince McMahon is way behind and Royal Rumble plans aren't even being discussed, which I would not be surprised if it's true. These matches aren't on the grid for WrestleMania because they were never pitched. Nothing is on the grid for WrestleMania. So, Ringside News is debunking this report. At this rate, I don't know what to believe. But I would not put it past WWE to do those 2 world title matches. I would not put it past WWE to do those world title matches between McIntyre, Lesnar, and Lee, and then Reigns and Goldberg. Why? Because that's how fucked up in the head Vince McMahon really is. That's how fucked up he really is. And I almost fucking dropped my pen. It's a live stream. What are you going to do? Goldberg and Reigns. And you're really going to waste a WrestleMania spot on Goldberg over Big E, over Daniel Bryan, over Keith Lee. If anyone supports this, I have absolutely no respect for you. And let me tell you something. I don't mean to be nasty. I don't mean to be mean. If there's one thing I don't want to do, I don't want to come off as if I'm a legitimate asshole, because I'm not. I'm not like that. But let me tell you something. I don't mean to be a dick, but I'm thoroughly convinced. I am thoroughly convinced that some people, matter of fact, not some, the majority of people, not anyone in here, but I'm thoroughly convinced that the majority of people in the WWE universe, the majority of people in the WWE community, I'm thoroughly convinced that they are mentally challenged. I'm not even joking. There is no way that some of the individuals can believe the bullshit. There's no way that they can believe the utter stupidity, the idiocy that comes out of your mouth. I'm thoroughly convinced some of the people in the community are absolutely mentally fucked up in the head. I apologize for my language. I apologize, but someone needed to say it. It's true. And people wonder why I don't respect anybody. Moving on. I got a report on Shaq. Dave Meltzer actually reported Shaq's status with All Elite Wrestling is currently up in the air. So, here's what he said. He stated, and I quote, "That's one of the things I was warned about with Shaq. He likes to do things, but then he doesn't take it seriously. Some people warned me about Shaq with Cody that he might not take it too seriously as much of these guys want." End quote. So I was thinking to myself, all right, if that's the case, and Shaq is not going to take it seriously, then based on everything, maybe the appearance on Dynamite could very well be a one-off. It could very well be a one-off. Now, I don't know if it's going to be finalized. I really don't. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I do not know what the future holds. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Shaq, but the segment on Dynamite, it was only about 2.5 minutes. I didn't really mind it, and I'm going to go into detail about that when we get to the Dynamite portion of the review. I didn't really mind it. It didn't necessarily help the show, but it didn't hurt the show. It was kind of just there. It was just there. Now, if this is the case, and Shaq's not really taking it seriously, then based on everything, I don't think Tony Khan is going to go full throttle with this. And to be quite honest, I hope he doesn't. If anything, this is an easy out to get Shaq away from Dynamite and away from Cody. Matter of fact, I would actually be much more open to seeing a match between Brandy Rhodes and Jade Cargill, and I'm not even a fan of Brandy Rhodes. I would be much more open to seeing that than I would Shaq and Cody. But the Shaq segment on Dynamite, it wasn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. Shaq didn't really sound all that good, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. We'll go into more detail on that when we get into the Dynamite portion of the review. But that's an update on Shaq. So his status is up in the air. If I hear anything else, I'll be sure to report it as soon as possible. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. My final report. Rant time again. Dave Meltzer. He reported that Vince McMahon, quote-unquote, threw a fit about the working ability of certain guys on the main roster, end quote, and specifically had issues with some of the larger wrestlers. So right then and there, after I heard threw a fit, this man is a 75-year-old man who is running the largest wrestling company in the world, and this fucker is throwing fits. If you're throwing fits, if you're 74, 75 years old, and you're throwing fits, and you're the CEO of the largest wrestling industry in the world, then I think it's safe to say that you need to be removed from your position. Mike Johnson of PW Insider also reported that an edict came from Vince McMahon for several talents to work on refining and improving their in-ring skills. Johnson stated, and I quote, PWInsider.com can confirm that Otis, Keith Lee, Dabba-Kato, Dio Madden, and AJ Styles' bodyguard Omos are among the contingent that the company has been working with on improving and refining their work inside the ring, with those talents taking part in regular workouts at the WWE Performance Center on Tuesdays and Thursdays. End quote. Now, Dabba-Kato, maybe I would understand. Dabba-Kato I would understand specifically because he's a bit too green in the ring. Maybe I'd understand Dabba-Kato. Dio Madden, I haven't really seen too much of Dio Madden to formulate a judgment on him, but I don't really see anything wrong with Dio Madden. But I can't really formulate a judgment on Dio Madden because I haven't seen enough of him. Almost, he is AJ Styles' bodyguard. He's not wrestling, so I don't really understand why he would need to go back down to the PC. Otis is not a mat tactician. He is not a technical wizard. Otis is not a 5-star matchmaking machine. But I look at Otis in the ring, and I don't really see anything wrong with Otis in the ring. The guy actually delivers a much better discus lariat than The Miz can throw a punch. So Otis may be a little green in the ring, but I don't really see a problem with Otis in the ring. At least he sells moves. He's fluid in the ring. His offense connects perfectly, so I don't really see a problem with Otis in the ring. Is he a bit green? Yeah, but is he bad? No. But then I look at one name that sticks out above the rest, and that's Keith Lee. Keith Lee. I am not going to go through all of Keith Lee's major accomplishments. I'm not going to go through Keith Lee's career on the independent scene. I'm not even going to say go back and watch all of his matches throughout his NXT career. I'm not going to say any of that. All I'm going to say is, all you need to do to formulate a judgment on Keith Lee, all you need to do to figure out whether Keith Lee is a good wrestler or a bad wrestler, all you need to do is go back to February 16th, 2020 at NXT TakeOver Portland. All you need to do is go and watch Dominik Dijakovic versus Keith Lee for the NXT North American Championship in the opening match of TakeOver Portland. That match in itself was one of the best matches of the entire year for all of pro wrestling, period. Matter of fact, some people labeled that as the best match of the year for the WWE. So, let me get this straight. If Keith Lee had that match, and that match, an absolute fucking classic, you're telling me that he needs to go back to the PC and refine and improve his in-ring ability? Are you fucking serious? So let me get this straight. You have Keith Lee going back down to the PC, but you don't send Braun Strowman down there. You don't send Jinder Mahal down there. You don't send Lana down there. You don't send Lacey Evans down there. You don't send Elias down there. You don't send Billy Kay down there. You don't send Nia Jax down there. And she's been a fucking health hazard to every single fucking woman that she stepped into the fucking ring with. But you don't send her down there, but you send Keith Lee down there. If that does not tell you how mentally fucked up Vince McMahon really is, if that does not tell you how out of touch Vince McMahon really is, I don't know what to tell you. And a matter of fact, a report even came out that Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn were actually in Vince McMahon's ear. And they were feeding Vince McMahon bullshit about Keith Lee and his in-ring ability. I don't fucking understand. I don't understand. I legitimately don't understand. I literally don't even want to talk about this. I'm telling you, I would not have social media. I would not be watching Raw or SmackDown. I would not be doing any of this if you guys didn't get a kick out of me blowing my voice out every single week. I would just quit. I really would. This pisses me off. This pisses me off like never before. This pisses me off like never before. I don't understand the mentality of Vince. I don't understand the mentality of Bruce. I don't understand the mentality of Kevin Dunn. Why are you willingly taking something that Triple H created in NXT? Triple H is building for the future. Triple H is doing your job for you. Triple H is fucking doing your job for you. All you need to do is sit back and reap the benefits, but yet you're taking them and you're changing everything about them. You put Keith Lee on the main roster, you put him in basketball shorts, then you put him in a singlet, you changed his theme music, you limited him in the ring, no pun intended there. I don't understand why. Why do you take these NXT talents and you cut them down and limit them to a point where they're just there? They're just standard. They're not special anymore. And then you want to go off and blame them for why they're failing. Meanwhile, you refuse to acknowledge the fact that you fucked them up from the moment that they got on the main roster. And my throat is fucking killing me right now. If Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard would have watched NXT and they would have seen that match, all you need to do is watch that one match with Dominik Dijakovic back at NXT TakeOver Portland, and you would have your answer as to whether or not Keith Lee needs to refine his in-ring ability. The answer is no. Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard are the people that absolutely cut him down to size. Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard are the ones that cut his balls off, figuratively, when he got up to the main roster. And they stripped him of everything. And then they want to blame Keith Lee for not having the correct amount of in-ring talent. If that does not tell you how fucked up the people running this company are. You know, we can rag on Bruce Pritchard all we want. And yes, Bruce Pritchard needs to be fired. He needs to be fired immediately. I hope he gets fired within the next few hours. Wishful thinking, but I hope he gets fired within the next few hours. He needs to be fired. Bruce Pritchard needs to be fired. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who is in the executive director role. It doesn't matter who is in the role that Kevin Dunn is in, that Bruce Pritchard is in. No matter who's in that role, the only way that things are going to change is when Vince McMahon is out of office. And that ain't happening until the angel of death comes down from above and claims his soul. Whether that be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15, 20, 25. I don't know. I said that the guy's going to outlive me. And at this rate, he is going to outlive me. And I'm 50 years younger than him. You have everything at your disposal and you're killing the future because you didn't create it. How egotistical and stubborn can you really be? It honestly pisses me off. It absolutely pisses me off. I got nothing. I really got nothing. I don't know what to say. Honest to God, I don't know what to say. So that's your news, rumors, and reports. Those are your news, rumors, and reports. I'm going to check the chat, and I missed a lot, actually. Hey, Earl. Hey, Earl, you have a great evening. I hope you stay safe. I hope your family's well. Let me calm down a minute. Leo says he's the Royal Rumble winner. At this rate, I take Leo as the Royal Rumble winner over GoldBerg. So, Cameron Johnson says, do the match between GoldBerg and Reigns at the Saudi show. I'd much rather not have it at all. Adam, I'd much rather see Kane versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. David Maniscalco is still dabbing. Infinite Phoenix Gaming. Yeah, I know. GoldBerg returning. I'm just as shocked as you. If GoldBerg has to be at Mania, why not do GoldBerg versus Riddle? I'm trying to figure that one out. Seth Rollins to win the Royal Rumble, Earl? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Cool King, don't apologize, man. You speaking nothing but facts. Yeah, I know, man. Trust me, I know. But, you know, some people are absolute fucking pussies, so I gotta apologize for the pussies out there. You're damn right I'm pissed. Infinite Phoenix Gaming, I am pissed. Danielle looks like she needs some water. Deep breaths, says Danielle. I'm good, I'm calm. Venom, F for your life. Venom for your life. How you doing? Drew versus Roman. That was a great match at Survivor Series. Let me blow my nose. Allergies are killing me. So those are your news, rumors, and reports. I got plenty more rants coming. So we move on to the weekly show reviews. I'll check the chat after the Monday Night Raw review. So Monday Night Raw, I don't even need to discuss how terrible Monday Night Raw was. I don't even need to discuss it. So we had a 10-bell salute. We had a 10-bell salute to Pat Patterson to begin the night. Beautiful 10-bell salute to Pat Patterson. Rest in peace to him. Orton came out. He kicked off the show. They replayed what happened last week between Orton, Bliss, and Wyatt, which did not make The Fiend look good at all. Orton says that any man would tremble at the thought of facing The Fiend, but I'm not an ordinary man. Unlike The Fiend, I don't need to wear a mask to let the darkness show, and when the time comes, I'll stare the devil in the face to let him know the most evil son of a bitch has come home. Until then, I'll be knocking on the funhouse door to see who's going to let me in. So Wyatt came up on the screen and Orton said, "Don't play games with me." And he said, "Did somebody say games?" So Wyatt introduced the game, Let's Get Randy. You heard me correctly. So we had Let's Get Randy. The prizes were a mallet and the rotting carcass of Friendship Frog on sale for $49.95. This is actually pretty funny. He asked the puppets how Randy should be punished at TLC. Mercy the Buzzard was eating the buzzer. Abby said, "Leave me the fuck out of it." Huskus the Pig wanted an all-you-can-eat buffet. And then Rambling Rabbit said, "We should sit down with Orton and discuss our feelings." Wyatt says that is a dumb idea. He says, "Unfortunately for you, Randy, he always has the right answers." Orton then challenged Wyatt to a match on the show later on. And Wyatt said, "Yowie wowie, I accept." And that was it. I really don't understand. I really don't understand. It's like WWE is the desperation. The desperation is just cringeworthy. It's absolutely cringeworthy. The desperation in this company for ratings. So you're pretty much giving away the TLC match. You're pretty much giving away the TLC match away for free because we're bound to get this same exact matchup at TLC. Only this time the Fiend is going to be no-selling 75% of Randy Orton's offense. But yet, we're supposed to be excited. We're supposed to be excited about Wyatt and Orton when you're pretty much giving away the match 2 weeks before the pay-per-view. Why? Because you are that fucking desperate for ratings and you're too fucking lazy to actually come up with another way to generate interest in the show. The segment wasn't bad. The Firefly Funhouse segment was actually very entertaining. I'm not even gonna fucking lie. I laughed. The segment was entertaining, but as far as the booking of this program goes, I mean, come on. And on top of that, I'm still pissed that Randy Orton beat Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. He shouldn't have. He shouldn't have. Shayna Baszler versus Asuka. Shayna Baszler versus Asuka. So Shayna and Nia, they were speaking to each other before the match. Terrible fucking promo. So Shayna Baszler and Asuka. Shayna Baszler realistically should be one of Asuka's challengers on pay-per-view, but here she is being wasted away in a television match for free against Asuka to sell what will undoubtedly be the worst match of the night at TLC between Shayna, Asuka, Nia, and Lana. The match literally only went 8 minutes. Shayna was in control before Asuka came back with a released German suplex, Asuka with a code breaker. Baszler took advantage after Lana got attacked by Jax. Lana then sent Jax into the steel post. She jumped off the steel steps into a powerbomb position on Nia Jax, and then she actually Hurricane Rana'd Nia Jax into the announce table. Shayna got distracted like an idiot. She was looking at Lana. Asuka rolled her up for a victory. I don't know. I literally got I'm literally running out of shit to say. I'm literally running out of shit to say because I am just at a loss for words at how fucking terrible this storyline is. So let me get this straight. Shayna Baszler takes not 1, not 2, but 3 pinfall losses in a row. Asuka's out there tag teaming with Lana and dancing. So you would rather, and this is how fucked up WWE's priorities are. They would rather sacrifice the credibility of Shayna Baszler, Asuka, and the entire women's division at that. The entire fucking women's division. They would rather sacrifice the credibility of their entire women's division just to shove it in the face of Miro. Just to shove it in the face of Miro, point at him, laugh at him, and say, ha, look, your wife is being booked better, quote unquote, booked better than you are. That's all they care about. All they care about is giving Lana the women's tag team titles with Asuka and shoving it in the face of Miro that, hey, look, your wife is being booked better than you. When we all know she's not being booked better. She's a complete fucking waste of a payroll, and she's only there because she looks like a porn star. But she's going to be one half of the women's tag team champions. Why? Just so they could say that your wife, Miro's wife, is being booked better than he is in All Elite Wrestling. Terrible. So we had Ricochet and Dana Brooke versus Reckoning, Recoiling, and Slapjack, Applejack, Kangaroo Jack, Jack Black, Jack Off. So Jack Off and Recoiling, they took on Mr. Ricochet and Dana Brooke. Ricochet with a Fosby flop to Jack Off. We then had a Falcon Arrow by Jack Off. 4-2. Reckoning came in, as did Brooke. Drop kick to Brooke. Brooke caught Reckoning with a Samoan driver, and Brooke pinned Mia Yim again. And Brooke and Ricochet win. Afterwards, Ali did the same thing to recoiling and jack off that he did last week, and he reprimanded them saying how you let me down. This was absolutely fucking disgusting. The fact that I gotta watch Mia Yim take 2 back-to-back pinfall losses from Dana Brooke. That is absolutely disgusting. The one positive that could come out of all of this, the one positive that's going to come out of all of this is that I hope to God Retribution keeps on losing every single week. I hope that they lose week in and week out, and Ali just gets so frustrated that he just completely disbands the group. And they can go back to being their normal selves. They can go back to being Mia Yim, Dio Madden, Shane Thorne, Dominic Dijakovic, and then Ali, he can hopefully be subjected to main event again. I would much rather watch him on main event than watch him on Monday Night Raw in this role. Miz TV with Miz and Morrison. Let me ask you a question. Did this segment suck? Oh yes, this segment sucked. Correct. Is The Miz a waste of space? Oh yes, The Miz is a waste of roster space. Correct. Is Morrison, by default, a scrub because he's paired with The Miz? Why, yes he is. Correct. So they introduced, if I can make myself laugh, so they introduced AJ Styles. AJ was asked about his strategy going into TLC. He says he'll be wrapping a chair around Drew McIntyre's back. He says he's going to put him through table after table, but nothing will mean anything, no heart, no soul that Drew McIntyre has will mean anything when he climbs the ladder and wins the WWE title. So Miz and Morrison mocked Drew and Sheamus' accents like children. I gotta watch this. So Sheamus came out. He says that he's sick of people saying that he'll betray Drew. Sheamus says that if we were back in a bar in Ireland, he'd knock their heads on the bar and throw them out in the gutter where they belong. Sheamus was then mocked by Miz and Morrison. I'm messing up my fucking words. He was mocked by Miz and Morrison saying that Sheamus has no friends. Drew then came out. He told AJ that he doesn't make threats and he makes promises. Odds were stacked against him, but he always remained the WWE champion. Drew says that Miz's balls are in Maurice's purse. No. Miz's balls are in the desk of one Vince McMahon. He says that his balls are in Maurice's purse, but don't worry. He replaced them with Morrison balls when he made him his little sidekick bitch. So AJ got out of the ring, a brawl broke out, and Sheamus and Drew stood tall. And that was that. I don't even need to go into detail about how bad this segment was. The fact that The Miz is, and correct me if I'm wrong. Ever since Hell in a Cell ended, we have seen at least one altercation. We have seen either a segment or a match that involved Drew McIntyre and The Miz. Every single week on Monday Night Raw, ever since Hell in a Cell ended. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember each and every single week on Raw, we have seen a match between Drew and The Miz. Every single fucking week for the last 2 months. And on top of that, why do we need a segment? Why do we need a segment that contains some of the individuals that are going to be in the main event later on? Why do we need a segment? Whether it be with 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. Why do we need a segment that eventually leads into a match later on in the same show? Why do we need to see these guys 2, 3 different times in the same show? Miz TV needs to die. Kofi Kingston versus Shelton Benjamin. So Shelton came out of the gates aggressive. Standard match right here. Nothing special at all. Shelton came out of the gates aggressive. Brutal fucking knees to Kofi. Kofi then mounted a comeback. Shelton powerbombed Kofi for a 2. He locked in the ankle lock, but Kofi got to the ropes. Benjamin went into the barricade. He slid back in the ring, caught a Trouble in Paradise. And Kofi Kingston beats Benjamin. And then afterwards, Cedric took the mic and he said, "Get back in the ring and I'll wipe the floor with you just like I did Woods last week." So he gets back in the ring and we get another match. So we get 50-50 booking. 2 weeks worth of 50-50 booking in the same night. Cedric Alexander wins with a lumbar check. And that's it. I swear to God, I do not want to see the Hurt Business or the New Day in the same ring with each other ever again after TLC. We got the match at TLC. I never want to see these two in the same ring with each other ever again. Never. So after that, what do we get? At this rate, I don't even fucking care. They replayed the tribute to Pat Patterson. Beautiful tribute, as always. Then we got Drew McIntyre and Sheamus versus AJ Styles, The Miz, Goldberg, and John Morrison. Did DJ Storms pay attention to this match? Oh, I know. DJ Storms did not pay attention to this match. Correct. Sheamus and Drew, they lose. They lose because Sheamus accidentally bro-kicked Drew McIntyre. And then Sheamus caught a phenomenal forearm from AJ Styles. And Styles, Miz, and Morrison win. Now, that is probably the only thing on Monday Night Raw that I'm actually intrigued by. The fact that Drew McIntyre and Sheamus could be headed into a program going into the Rumble, that is actually very interesting. That I'm actually looking forward to. Next week, we got Lana and Nia Jax. We got Lana and Nia Jax. Oh, by the way, do you want to know why else? Do you want to know why else we didn't get? You want to know why else we didn't get Lana pinning Nia? You want to know why Shayna Baszler has been the one on the pinfall losing end of things for the last 3 weeks? It's because they're saving the big moment. They're saving the ultimate moment for TLC. And that ultimate moment comes when Lana pins Nia Jax. Or if it's a tables match, she's going to put Nia Jax, Lana through a table. She's gone through a table so many times. At this rate, I'm conditioned to think that she's going to go through a table. But Lana is going to put Nia Jax through a table if it's a tables match, or she's going to pin Nia Jax at TLC, and she's going to win the women's tag team titles for herself and Asuka. That's why Shayna has been on the losing end of things for the last 3 weeks. It's coming, people. Forget about Karrion Kross. Forget about Karrion Kross and his return to NXT. Doomsday will be upon us on December 20th when Lana becomes a champion. So we got Lana versus Nia Jax next week. We got a backstage brawl with Sheamus and McIntyre. Pat Buck tried to break it up, and then they put him through a table, and then they walked away. A little odd type of brotherly love there. So, from there, we go to Jeff Hardy versus Bobby Lashley. This was actually the best thing on the show. This is actually a damn good match here between Bobby Lashley and Jeff Hardy. It's the only thing on the show that had any type of positivity. So, Matt Riddle, he approached Hardy and offered to team with him as the Hardy Bros, which I actually wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing Matt Riddle and Jeff Hardy team up, but you're effectively eliminating 2 people from the mid-card just because you killed all the other tag teams on the roster, or you released half of them back on Black Wednesday in April. So, we had Bobby Lashley in control. Hardy came back with a leg drop. He fought out of the Hurt Lock. MVP with a distraction before Riddle came out to save Hardy. Hardy then took advantage with a diving clothesline off the apron to Lashley. Lashley took over again. He locked in a sleeper, transitioned into the Bulldog choke. We then had Hardy fighting out of it. He mounted a comeback with the electric chair, low drop kick, and a splash combo for a 2. We had a whisper in the wind on Mr. Lashley for 2. Stun gun on the ropes. We had a flatliner by Lashley for a 2. Hardy went for the twist of fate. He went for the swanton, but Lashley got up. Hardy actually tweaked his knee coming down from the ropes. Lashley with a spear. Hardy got locked in the Hurt Lock, and he tapped out. Riddle tried to save him, but Lashley threw Hardy into Riddle. And it looks like we're going to get Riddle and Mr. Lashley for the United States title at TLC, which I would not mind. This was undoubtedly the best thing on the show. And then we got Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. Bray Wyatt versus Randy. No, okay, no. I'm sorry, I'm awake. I'm awake. I'm sorry. I was trying to, man, I was having a dream about that exhilarating main event that we got on Raw. How many of you fell asleep? I'm surprised I didn't fall asleep. For real. I should have fell asleep. I should have. I could have done all these other things with my Monday night, but I decided to take how many pages? We got 1, we got 2, we got 3, we got 3.5 pages of notes for Monday Night Raw. That's what I did. So Wyatt, he caught a draping DDT from Orton. Orton mounted a comeback. The lights started to go out. He hit an RKO on Wyatt before the lights completely went out. And then we had the lights come back on, and Randy Orton was covering the Fiend. And then the Fiend locked in the mandible claw on Orton, and he passed out. Who cares? That was Monday Night Raw for you. That was Raw. My throat's killing me. Let's check the chat before we go into AEW Dark. Let's check the chat. Danielle Peanuts and Venom for life, for your life. They're having fun. Danielle's still dabbing. I'd still say give this storyline the Benoit treatment and pretend Retribution never happened. Tell me about it, Cameron. I think my voice, I did that voice crack on purpose, actually. I did that voice, actually, no, I didn't do it on purpose. That's a lie. My voice cracked. Peanuts can't stand The Miz. Danielle loved my rant. So we're going to move into AEW Dark. Danielle, stop dabbing. We're going to move into AEW Dark. And I'm really just going to skim through it. AEW Dark, let me tell you something. I love All Elite Wrestling. I love what they're doing. I respect what they're doing. But let me tell you something. They have got to, and I mean they gotta fucking stop. They gotta fucking stop with the oversaturation of the AEW Dark show. There's no need for 16 matches. No need for 16 matches. 5 to 7 matches is the minimal time. There's no reason why Dark needs to be longer than Dynamite. End it. We don't need 16 enhancement matches. We don't. So, We had Baron Black versus Sonny Kiss to start off the show. This match was garbage. Sonny Kiss fucking sucks. Split leg drop for the win. We then had Brian Cage versus Danny Limelight. Danny Limelight actually got some decent offense here. But ultimately, Brian Cage won. Drill Claw City, baby, for the win. We had Alex Gracia versus Nyla Rose. Rose completely destroyed her. Afterwards, Vicky Guerrero took the mic. She said, "Excuse me." She says, "When I talk, people listen." She says that she is an educator. She called Brandy the chief bullshit officer. And she says, "Applaud for my client." And Nyla Rose threw Gracia out of the ring, and they left. So I don't know about you. I'm not opposed to the partnership of Vicky and Nyla. I actually like it. So I'm not really sure where it's going, but it could go to Brandy. We could see Nyla and Brandy, which I don't want to see realistically. I really don't want to fucking see. We'll see what happens, but I don't want to fucking see that. We had the waiting room with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. So Rebel introduced herself. I'm not lying right here. Rebel is actually fine. I'm not opposed to being with Miss Rebel. So Rebel, hit me up. I'll give you my number in the DMs. All right? Everybody wants a piece of the Stormsmeister. So Rebel, I actually find Rebel more attractive than Britt Baker. Not to say that Britt Baker's not attractive, because Adam Cole's a lucky guy, but I prefer Rebel. I like me some Rebel. I like a Rebel, if you know what I mean. So she introduced Britt Baker. She congratulated Kenny on winning the world title. She then thanked Sting for keeping Tony Schiavone relevant. She then introduced Dustin Rhodes. She asked why Cody's contract is bigger than Dustin's. Now, Dustin, I didn't really care for this waiting room segment, but Dustin said, "I pay more in taxes quarterly than you make in wrestling and dentistry alone in a year." And then he said, "Did your boyfriend win match of the year?" "No, me and Cody won match of the year." So I like that little jab by Mr. Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes, he's still got it. The old man's still got it. The old man's got some wit about him. I love me some Dustin Rhodes. When Dustin Rhodes speaks on the microphone and he's making those one-liners, Dustin Rhodes is a very good promo. He said, "Think before you speak." He says 10, which is the man he was facing on Dynamite from the Dark Order. 10's a big boy. But he says his legacy is intact and he'll go to the ends of the world to take the Dark Order out. So she then introduced Marco Stunt. Yes, Marco Stunt. And Marco Stunt actually sang a song. And he played the guitar. He actually sang a song. He's actually a better fucking singer than Elias. He's actually a better singer than Elias. So, hey, Marco Stunt. He's wrestling. He could play guitar. He could sing. Marco Stunt, man. He's living the life. Marco Stunt's living the life. So, we had 10 versus Aaron Solo. Really nothing special here. Ripcord Lariat to the back for the win. We then had Louis Valley versus Pretty Peter Avalon. Avalon won with the Martinis. He took the mic and said, just like that, 3 wins for Pretty Peter Avalon. And he says he's offering an open challenge to any wrestler who is just as pretty as he is. It is PPA all day. Cody actually asked Peter Avalon, "What is this, an open challenge for beautiful people?" And Avalon said yes. So me being the witty son of a bitch I am, I actually quote tweeted Cody and put a gif of dashing Cody Rhodes on there, just to spark up a little conversation. I actually, speaking of which, let me tell you something. Back when I was young, I didn't really understand how good Cody Rhodes really was, but I look back on it, I love that dashing gimmick. Cody Rhodes, he knew how to knock it out of the park with every character that he had. Just saying. We had the Gun Club versus Sean Dean, Sean Maluda, and Ryzen. We had a Famouser by Billy on Ryzen for the win. Nothing special. Red Velvet versus Danny Jordan. Really nothing special here. Red Velvet won with the shotgun dropkick. Red Velvet looked very good. We had Falco and Mike Magnum versus Jurassic Express. We had the choke slam, last shot combo for the win. Nothing special here. Fuego del Sol versus Brandon Cutler. Decent little match right here. Brandon Cutler won with the TPK, and he is on a 6-match winning streak. Skylar Moore versus Ivelisse. Ivelisse won with the modified octopus. Big Swole versus Lindsay Snow. Big Swole won with the modified arm trap pin. Very sloppily. We had Sotheria Chun. I don't know what kind of name that is. Sotheria Chun and VSK. They took on the Hybrid 2. Hybrid 2 won with the inverted figure 4. Diamante took on Tesha Price. We had a code red for the win by Diamante. That was pretty much that. We then had, what was his name? Freya States versus Shauna. Shauna won with the Tiger Suplex. Great to see Shauna. John Cruz and Michael Nakazawa took on The Acclaimed. And this was my favorite part of Dynamite. I fucking love The Acclaimed. So The Acclaimed came out. Max Caster took the mic, and he said, "Acclaimed is the name, and you know you ain't stopping them. Knock your ass out like your name's Nay Robinson. Nakazawa, you are trash. John Cruz so ugly you should probably wear a mask. We the guys that you idolize treat you like we did the Bucks on Dynamite. 18 to 34 demo getting hotter, and we on TNT because we only bring in drama." So, I fucking love The Acclaimed. Max Caster's great. Anthony Bowens is physically impressive. He's a physical specimen. I love what Anthony Bowens is doing. So, then we had The Acclaimed hitting Critically Acclaimed on Michael Nakazawa for the win. And that was pretty much that. I love The Acclaimed. And then we had the Varsity Blondes versus Colt Cabana and Alex Reynolds. And this was a standard tag team match with the Varsity Blondes winning with the assisted blockbuster. And that was it. Let's check the chat again. Why are there only 7 people watching? Okay, so Ruben, Danielle, and Peanuts are dabbing uncontrolled. You gotta chill with the dabs, people. Please. It is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. So what else do we got? Stop dabbing. Alright, fine. You can dab. You dab if it makes you happy. So that was pretty much AEW Dark. I'm just absolutely sick. I'm absolutely sick of the 16-match format. They really need to fix their shit up. It needs to be 5 to 7 matches. Dark should be 1 hour. And Dynamite should be 2. No reason for Dark to be longer than Dynamite. We don't need that. We don't fucking need that shit. So, here's what I need. I need you guys to keep on sharing out the stream. I want to get to 20 likes. If you guys can get me to 20 likes, I would greatly appreciate it. 20 likes here. Matter of fact, I would actually like to get to 30 likes, but I need your help. In order for me to get to 30 likes, I need to make sure that you guys are absolutely sharing out the stream on all platforms of social media. I need you guys to share out the stream ASAP. Please, please, please share out the stream. So, we are going to get into AEW Dynamite, which was the best show of the week. Dynamite was a very good show. We had the Bucks and the Hybrid 2 kicking off a Dynamite. This was an excellent fucking tag team match. This went about 11 minutes, I believe. For 11 minutes, my fucking God. Bucks absolutely brought it. Hybrid 2 brought it. The brawl began immediately when the Bucks were attacked by the Hybrid 2. The Bucks then hit a couple of topes, taking out the Hybrid 2. We had a swift double team by the Bucks. Evans came in with a moonsault, taking out Nick. We had an assisted 450 to Matt for a 2. We had a super kick party. Everyone was down. Nick with a slingshot facebuster for a 2. Matt then powerbombed Evans over the barricade into the Acclaimed. So the Acclaimed were in the ring, and he powerbombed them into the Acclaimed. That was fucking great. So then we had a moonsault splash combo on Angelico for 2. We then had Evans coming back. He made the tag. We had a backbreaker flatliner combo and a big springboard 450 on Matt for a very close 2 count. The Bucks then hit a doomsday device to Evans on the ramp. Double super kick to Angelico, but he kicked out. We then had more bang for your buck. Missing. He did not connect with more bang for your buck. We had a reverse Rana on Matt, and then an inverted figure 4 on Matt on the injured ankle. On the injured leg. Nick was able to break it up with a senton. Evans got caught. We had a Meltzer driver to Evans on the floor, a super kick party, and a BTE trigger on Angelico for the win. And that was that. This was an excellent fucking tag team match. If you're still shitting on the Young Bucks, let me tell you something. You're just doing it to be cool. You're not cool. You look like a complete fucking idiot. You cannot be shitting on the Young Bucks after this. The Young Bucks are absolute tag team specialists. This was an excellent fucking tag team match. They are doing excellent. They have done excellent since the start. I really don't want to hear a single fucking peep at anyone. If you're still shitting on the Young Bucks, you're just doing it to be cool, and you're not cool at all. Matter of fact, you look like a complete dumbass. Excellent match right here. Take nothing away from the Hybrid 2 either. So afterwards, the Acclaimed were looking to attack, but SCU saved the Young Bucks. And that was that. Darby Allin was in the back talking to a mental specialist, and he was showing them ink blocks. And he showed an ink block of Brian Cage, and he says, "I see the #1 contender. This match has been 6 months in the making. Brian Cage, Darby Allin, the TNT Championship." So, let me tell you something. This is a very intriguing matchup. I'm very much looking forward to seeing this match. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Darby Allin and Brian Cage for the TNT Championship. I absolutely hate the way that they went about it, because there's no reason that Darby Allin should have taken a pinfall loss. You could have had Brian Cage easily just get a match because he's in the top 5 rankings. Anna Jay got a women's title match, and she didn't need to beat Hikaru Shida. She was number 5 ranked. Brian Cage is number 4 ranked. He could have easily gotten a TNT Championship match since he's in the top 5 rankings. There's no reason why he needed to pin Darby. I hate the way that they went about that. But it's going to be a great match, and you can definitely tell how much investment they have in Darby, that he's going to be the one to go over Brian Cage. Because Cage is not winning the title. You're not going to take the title off of Darby after he just won it. So, we had Cody coming out. Tony Schiavone was about to interview him. He asked for Cody's reaction, but the lights go out. And Sting comes out. Sting comes out, and he stared face to face with Cody. Arn says he needed to get closer just to make sure this was real. And Arn says, "You know what? I'll see my way out." So Arn left. Tony Schiavone says, "You know what? Looks like I need to leave too." Sting was like, wait. Give me a hug, man. Come on, it's been forever. Now the Stinger's back on TNT. So he gave kudos to Tony Schiavone, and then he asked could you say it's Sting again? So Tony Schiavone said, "It's Sting again." Cody then said thank you for the assist, and he's been waiting to share a ring with them for a while. Sting said there's something very, very familiar about this place, and he pointed to Darby, who was up in the stands. He pointed to Darby. He says that the animals are the same, but different. The Stinger is in the jungle and on TNT once again. He says the only thing for sure about Sting is that nothing is for sure. And he plans on spending a lot of time there for a long time. And the way I choose to play is my business. So then he put his arm around Cody, he hugged Cody, and he said, see you around, kid. If there's one thing that I loved about this segment, and you could definitely tell it was genuine, it was organic. The one thing that I loved about this segment is that it was real. And that's the one thing that makes a segment, that's the one thing that makes a promo great. It all depends on the level of realism, the level of organic nature that the promo has. And you could definitely tell that everyone was just going based off of their emotions. Everyone was going based off the top of their head. This was real, this was genuine, and that made this promo great. Very, very, very intrigued to see where this goes. And you can tell that they're slowly building towards an eventual match, either between Cody and Sting, Sting and Darby, or a potential blood and guts match. Those are the only matches that I can see Sting wrestling in if he is to wrestle. That's about it. So we then had the Varsity Blondes versus FTR. Very standard tag team match. It was decent, but it was really nothing special. This was pretty much a tag team match to let you know that the FTR is still there, and they're coming back for the titles. That was pretty much that. The Varsity Blondes actually had a nice showing here. We had a tag to Griff Garrison. He was lighting up FTR, a couple of Stinger splashes, and a big double spear. So Griff Garrison actually looked pretty good. We had a Brainbuster on Pillman, and then the Goodnight Express by FTR for the win. That was pretty much that. It was announced that we are getting Adam Page, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver versus Matt Hardy and Private Party next week. So that's playing up to the storyline between the Dark Order and Adam Page, which I still believe is resulting in a match with Brody Lee at Revolution. We had Dustin Rhodes versus 10. Very standard match. It was only like 3 minutes. Dustin Rhodes with a bulldog on 10 for the win. I'm not sure if he botched that or not, but that was pretty much that. The Dark Order then came out, and Evil Uno says, we can't change the past, but we can improve the future. Here alone, you're only the third most important Rhodes. Take your place as 7, little throwback, as 7 of the Dark Order. Dustin then put his arm up, and he slapped Evil Uno. So he slapped Evil Uno, and Uno says, no, don't attack him. When you understand what I understand, you will be begging for it. And that was that. So that was probably one of the weakest things on the show. We then had the sit-down interview with Shaq and Brandy Rhodes. They sat down with Tony Schiavone. Shaq says that he is a fan of Miss Cargill, and he wants to see her do big things, but he doesn't appreciate what Jade Cargill did and how she broke Brandy's arm. Shaq says that he was just having fun with Cody. He respects what Cody does. He respects what the people of All Elite Wrestling does. He then made a sly comment before Brandy took a glass of water and threw it at him, and then Brandy called him an overgrown asshole. So here's the thing. Number one, I actually like that Shaq wasn't necessarily on Dynamite. He was in a backstage segment. He was in a 2-3-minute backstage segment. That I can appreciate. So it wasn't an overbearing appearance. I will leave it at that. It wasn't an overbearing appearance. It was just a little sit-down interview. I actually like the way that they formatted it. Now, Shaq did not sound confident. He did not sound confident. He did not sound legit whatsoever. Brandy sounded great. Brandy was actually funny in this segment. But ultimately, the segment, it really didn't do anything. It didn't help the show. It didn't hurt the show. It was just there. It was really just there. So at the end of the day, I just hope that this is a one-off. And based on the report that I talked about with Shaq a little earlier on in the show, I think it's best that we leave this at a one-off. That's it. We then had the Inner Circle come out, led by Le Champion, Chris Jericho. The Inner Circle's ultimatum was laid down. Jericho took the mic. He said, "It's a very serious night. It could very well be the last time you see all of us together in the same ring right now. What happened last week was embarrassing." He says he knows that Hager doesn't like Wardlow. Sammy doesn't like MJF. Santana is so pissed that he didn't even show up to work. So MJF took the microphone. He says that he knows that he may be the issue. He says that I have seen what's been going on social media. I've seen what's been happening. People think I want to break the group up from the inside. He says that he wanted to create bonds. So Sammy and MJF then got into it. Sammy then said, "Screw this guy. He was lying." Jericho said, "Look, MJF, look. We all watched Dynamite. We see what you did last week." So MJF said, listen, I swear, being in typical MJF fashion, he's like, "I swear I had sweat on my brow." So MJF was then approached by Ortiz. Ortiz took the mic and he says, "Look, you and Wardlow are great talents, but as human beings, and that's debatable." Ortiz says, "Wardlow's great." He says, "MJF, you're growing on me like a fungus, but you're growing on me." Ortiz says that, "Look, not many people are going to like the hands that you are dealt with in life, but he knows that they are the winning hand." Sammy was then told by Ortiz to shake his hand because Sammy's better than him and he knows it. So that was a little jab, a little verbal jab there at MJF. Sammy, he says that, all right, I'll shake his hand. I'll shake it. But on one condition, and this is what I loved from Sammy. He looked at MJF, he says, "I promise to you." And then he looked at Jericho and said, "I promise to you. If one more thing happens, if anything else happens, I will quit the Inner Circle." So he shakes MJF's hand. Hager then took the microphone and he says, wait, I got a question. Why does this guy keep staring at me? So he's talking about Wardlow, obviously. And Wardlow then took the microphone and he says, like, whoa. Me staring at you? You've been staring at me since I got here to AEW. So Jericho says, "Oh, wait. Now I'm pretty sure we can both stop staring at each other." So Jericho is like, "Okay, just stop staring at each other." So that was actually a little funny right there. That got an LOL moment out of me. And then they put in their middle finger gesture, and that was that. This is a great segment. This is very, very funny. And one thing that's the best part about it, and I've said it once and I'll say it again, the Inner Circle is undoubtedly the most intriguing storyline in wrestling right now. They have multiple routes that they can go with this. I don't know what's going to happen. Are we going to get Sammy versus MJF at Revolution? Are we going to get Sammy being turned on by the Inner Circle, and the Inner Circle is going to do a complete 180 and they're going to kick Sammy out? Are we going to get Jericho leaving because of Fozzy, and Jericho assigns the Inner Circle leadership duties to MJF? Sammy was going to take exception to that because he's pretty much the Starscream to Chris Jericho's Megatron. A lot of good stuff going on here. So then we had Eddie Kingston, the Butcher and the Blade, versus Lance Archer and the Lucha Bros. Lance Archer was like, move, 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 move. He jumped over the top rope like a fucking maniac. Fucking love Lance Archer. He's very fun. Like, the shit that he does, the fact that he just jumps over the top rope, just throws his body at people. Lance Archer is very, very funny, and he doesn't even realize it. So, the Butcher then dropped Pentagon through a table. Pentagon is supposedly really injured. Penta El Cero Miedo is supposedly really injured. So that's why he was taken out of the match. This was pretty much a 3-on-2 handicap match. This was a fun match. It was fun. Fun match for what it was. Really nothing too crazy. Really nothing too crazy. We had the Butcher and the Blade isolating Phoenix. He got the tag into Archer. Archer was then isolated and cut down. He made the tag to Phoenix. We had a beautiful arm drag Hurricane Rana combination. Huge Tope Con Hero on Eddie Kingston. We then had a neck breaker powerbomb combo on Phoenix. And Kingston's team wins. Fun match. Fun match. Afterwards, Archer then attacked everyone. And then everyone retreated. And that was pretty much that. I'm assuming that we are going to be getting Lance Archer versus Mr. Kingston, probably at either New Year's Smash, which is a 2-night event from the 30th until the 6th of January for All Elite Wrestling, or Revolution. We'll see what happens. See what happens. So we had Jade Cargill, Nyla Rose, and Vicky Guerrero. They were attacking Red Velvet in the back. And that was pretty much that. Again, I'd be much more open to a match between Brandy and Cargill rather than a match between fucking Shaq and Cody. Alright? So, we had Abaddon versus Tesha Price. Really standard stuff here. Really nothing too special. Abaddon went right after Price. She no-sold Tesha Price's punches. Abaddon won with the Widow's Peak. She continued to assault Price before Sheeta came out. She hit Abaddon in the head with a kendo stick. And she tried to help Price out before Abaddon got up like The Undertaker and stared down Miss Sheeta. Abaddon did not look horrible here. Her offense looked a lot better, I will say that, but a decent squash really isn't going to do anything. I've said it once and I'll say it again. A decent squash is something that is very common in today's wrestling world. Squash matches, unless they're done right with someone that oversells the fuck out of moves to really make you look good, the concept of a squash match, it really just is outdated. It really just is outdated. We didn't really see much of anything. Anyone can look decent in a squash match, but at the end of the day, it all comes down. It all comes down to what you can do in the ring with an elite talent. It all comes down to what you can do in the ring with a talent like a Thunder Rosa or a Penelope Ford or Chris Statlander. Those are the talents that we need to get Abaddon in the ring with. Because at the end of the day, we're really not going to see anything from Abaddon. You need to be in the ring with a legit women's wrestler before you're in the conversation for a women's title opportunity. Abaddon is far from ready for that spot. She's far from fucking ready. The gimmick is fine. I'm not pissed off with the gimmick. It's cheesy as fuck. It's over the top. It seems like they're just trying to be, like she's just trying to be another ripoff of The Fiend and The Undertaker. But the gimmick is not the problem with her. The gimmick is fine, but you can only go so far with just a gimmick. Again, this is not the 80s. This is not the 90s. You need to make sure that you're a great pro wrestler, because if you ain't a good pro wrestler, you ain't going anywhere. I see much more investment in Will Hobbs than I do Abaddon, simply because of the fact that Will Hobbs, he's a great wrestler. He doesn't have a character, but he's a much better wrestler. I see more investment in Timothy Thatcher, and I'm not even a fucking fan of Timothy Thatcher, than I do Abaddon. I mean, come on. Come on. So, we had Omega and Don Callis. They were escorted in on a helicopter, which looked great. They were escorted in on a helicopter, which looked great. So Omega obviously looked like the cleaner. Roberts did Kenny Omega's over-the-top intro. Of course, he did the North Carolina line. So Kenny came out. Tony Schiavone asked for some answers. Callis said the fans are upset. Tony Khan is upset. Callis said that Tom feels like he got screwed over. Well, welcome to the wrestling business, kid. So that was actually a nice line. That was actually a very nice line for Mr. Callis. So Callis says, this took years to plan. They created AEW. So he introduced Kenny as the best bout machine. Kenny says that they wanted and they planned for over a year, and they pulled it off. He called his match fine art, and everyone fell for it. Kenny said Moxley bought it. You thought last week was a big surprise? Just wait. We got more coming. Kenny Omega makes history. So Kenny Omega did his goodbye, mwah, and good night bang line. Great stuff there from Omega and Callis. Again, it's all a matter of time before we get a breakout moment from Kenny Omega. We already got a big breakout moment from Kenny Omega, but now we're just waiting to see what the next big move is going to be. Next week, we actually got Omega and Janela. We got Omega and Janela. That should be great. Omega and Janela, no disqualification match. Cody Rhodes is taking on Angelico next week. We got the Acclaimed versus SCU. New Year's Smash is on the 30th and January 6th, excuse me. December 30th and January 6th. And then next week we also got Serena Deeb and Big Swole versus Ivelisse and Diamante. And then in the main event we had MJF versus Orange Cassidy. This was for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. MJF went right on the attack. He broke Cassidy's sunglasses, actually. So MJF kept the pressure on Mr. Cassidy. Cassidy then accidentally punched the ring post. MJF stuffed Cassidy's hands in his back pocket. This is actually a great move right here. He stuffed Cassidy's hands in his back pockets and then powerbombed him with his hands in his back pockets on the apron. That was actually great. MJF with a flapjack on Cassidy. He stomped on the hand. We had Cassidy coming back with a big crossbody off the top. Satellite DDT and a diving DDT for a 2. MJF then got dumped over the top. We had a springboard swanton on the inner circle by Mr. Cassidy. We had the heat seeker by MJF, but the ref caught MJF's feet on the ropes. Cassidy then outsmarted MJF by pulling an Eddie Guerrero. MJF had Floyd the Bat in his hand, but Cassidy caught MJF with the beach break, but MJF kicked out. MJF kicked out. We then had an orange punch connecting right on the money, and MJF kicked out again. We then had a second orange punch, but Wardlow put MJF's foot on the ropes. Everyone started brawling on the outside. We had the best friends, Griff Garrison, all brawling on the outside with the inner circle before Miro came out of nowhere, just completely fucking decked Orange Cassidy, turned him inside out. MJF covered, and MJF retained the Dynamite Diamond Ring. This was a very, very fun main event. And then afterwards, Miro then came out and started destroying everyone. He was tossing securities everywhere. He actually threw a guy off the fucking stage. He went off of the camera. It looked like he fell into the fucking abyss. Looked like he fell into the abyss. That looked great. That looked great. I thought that was awesome. And Miro, the visual of Miro standing tall, that was pretty awesome right there. I absolutely love the fact that Miro got a major showcase on Dynamite. Very interested to see what he does going into the future. I'm actually looking forward to his match with Kip Sabian and the Best Friends. And then I actually would love to see Miro and Kip actually win the tag team titles. And then hopefully Miro, which Tony Khan said there's big plans for Miro in 2021. Keep your eye out for that. Keep your eye out. Let's check the chat. Danielle says she has a bone to pick with me. Really. And what would that be? Everyone has a bone to pick with me. I'd love to see you try. I'd love to see you try. So, they're still dabbing. People are still dabbing. No, Cool King. It is not Dab Mania. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, we have about 3 more shows to go over. We have 3 more shows to go over, and then we are going to get right into what everyone wants to get into, and that is some relaxation on a Saturday. I know everyone wants to just relax on a Saturday. Trust me, we're getting there. We have 3 more shows to go over. We're going to start with NXT. NXT, I don't want to say it was bad, because NXT is never bad. NXT is never bad. NXT is never a shit show. And they're actually doing a lot of things to set you up for what is to come in the future. They're actually doing a lot of things to set you up for what is to come in the future. But I don't know. I really don't know. The whole show as a whole, and we could talk about how great the takeovers are, but again, it is all in the weekly shows. It's all in the weekly shows, and I say this all the time. You can have great takeovers, you can have great special events, but why the fuck are we constantly getting inconsistent weekly shows? That's been the main problem with NXT. So Finn Balor kicked off NXT. He says that captains, factions, bragging rights, he's not interested. It's Wednesdays, and the champ is back. Some people love me, some people hate me, but if you want to get to know me, you better come see me in this ring. He was then interrupted by the bruiserweight, Mr. Pete Dunne. He says that we're both cut from the same cloth, and it's about time that we stand face to face. In a matter of time, I'll put you back on the shelf, and that NXT title will be mine. So Kyle O'Reilly then interrupted, and he says that he wanted to insert himself into the conversation because who left War Games with their hands raised? The Era Boys. So Finn says, Finn, you didn't forget about me, and you spent the last 2 months eating your meals through a straw because of me. We got some unfinished business. Listen to that inner voice. But then he was interrupted by Damian Priest. He says that he's been looking forward to this for a while. He says Priest versus Balor for the NXT Championship. Now that's a marquee match. I would have to agree with Mr. Priest. Dunn says, aren't you the geezer that couldn't even beat Leon Ruff? Priest says, aren't you the guy that gets paid by McAfee to keep his mouth shut? So they started arguing back and forth. Balor then left. Balor then says, on January 6th, New Year's Evil, he will defend the title. Who's going to get that Finn rub? That's Regal's job. All of a sudden, Karrion Kross's music hits, and out comes Scarlett. And Balor says, I got a message for your boy. When he's ready, Finn's ready. So Finn left, and then Priest goes, hey, Smoke Show, do you tell your boy to wait in the car while you handle his business? If he wants to come back and pick a fight, all he has to do is step to me like a man. So she smiled at Priest and then walked away. So here's the thing. I'd love to see Priest and Balor. O'Reilly and Balor, they put on a great fucking match in the main event of TakeOver 31. And, of course, Pete Dunne and Balor. That's a fucking WrestleMania match worthy unto itself. And that's more likely than not what we're getting. Which I have no problem with. I have no problem with. So, here's the problem that I have. Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross is back in NXT. And that is a bad idea. That is a bad idea. And I'm going to explain to you why. WWE had the opportunity to do Karrion Kross right, and they fucked up. And I'll tell you why they fucked up. Vince McMahon has had his influence over NXT for the last 8, 9, 10 months, right? He's had his influence over NXT for the last 8, 9, 10 months. Vince McMahon, all Vince McMahon cared about was pushing the people that he wanted at the top and counter-programming All Elite Wrestling. Vince McMahon looked at Karrion Kross. And said, I want that title on him now. Triple H was not going to just give Karrion Kross to Vince McMahon to put on the main roster because he just got to NXT and he was already factoring into plans in NXT. Vince McMahon couldn't get his hands on Karrion Kross for the main roster, so what does he do? He looks at him and he says, I want that title on him now. And you know why? Look at Karrion Kross. If you're going to tell me Vince McMahon didn't jizz his pants when he saw Karrion Kross, I mean, you're out of your fucking mind. Why did Vince McMahon fast-track Karrion Kross to the NXT title? Because he is a 6'4", 265-pound muscle man. That's it. Karrion Kross and Keith Lee was not supposed to be the TakeOver 30 main event. Karrion Kross and Keith Lee, they were supposed to have their match at TakeOver WrestleMania weekend next year. That was the proper main event for that TakeOver. Keith Lee, and I'm going to say this again, Keith Lee, he should not be on the main roster right now. Keith Lee should still be in NXT. Keith Lee should be the NXT champion right now. Keith Lee was not supposed to become a double champion. Keith Lee was not supposed to win the NXT title at the Great American Bash. They did that to counter-program All Elite Wrestling. Keith Lee was supposed to go into TakeOver 30 to face Damian Priest, and he was going to drop the title to Damian Priest. The main event of TakeOver 30 should have been Adam Cole versus Finn Balor. Longest reigning NXT champion versus second longest reigning NXT champion. No bigger match you could have done for TakeOver 30, and Adam Cole would have retained. What do you do with Kross? You could have had him face Dominik Dijakovic. Dominik Dijakovic shouldn't be up on the main roster. You have Dijakovic versus Kross as an undercard match at TakeOver 30 where you continue to build him up. That's a nice 3-match lineup for TakeOver 30, but they didn't do that. Instead, they fast-tracked Keith Lee to the NXT title because Karrion Kross was pushed by Vince McMahon. Vince wanted the title on Kross ASAP, and Triple H obviously couldn't do Adam Cole versus Karrion Kross because if Karrion Kross, if he routed Tommaso Ciampa in 7 minutes, he was going to do the same thing to Adam Cole, and that's disrespectful to Adam Cole. So what did they do? They fast-tracked Keith Lee to the NXT title, and they had him vacate the North American title, who he was supposed to drop to Damian Priest. And then we did Kross and Lee for the NXT title at TakeOver 30. They did it 8 months early. Keith Lee was supposed to drop the North American title to Damian Priest. Adam Cole and Keith Lee was supposed to be the main event of TakeOver 31 back on October 4th. That's when Keith Lee would have won the NXT title. Then Keith Lee would have had a nice 6-month reign with the NXT title from October to March or October to April, and then he would have dropped the title to Karrion Kross. They gave you Keith Lee and Kross 8 months early. Why? Because Vince McMahon wanted to push Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross was not worthy of an NXT title match. The only reason why they put him in that position is because Vince McMahon wanted him in that position because he looked at him and had an erection. That's it. Now Kross is back. NXT is a much different show. It's a different ball game. It's a different landscape. There are new superstars coming up through the rankings. There are different storylines, different angles, different feuds going on. And if Karrion Kross is back, he's ultimately coming for Finn Balor, and he wins the NXT Championship. You're really going to put the NXT title back on Karrion Kross just to give him a legit reign as NXT Champion, when legitimately there's nobody that's going to beat him. There's literally nobody outside of Tommaso Ciampa, if you want to tell that story, or Damian Priest. But they're doing the Damian Priest story with Karrion Kross now. They're doing that now. It's not even for a title. So at the end of the day, you're putting a stranglehold on the NXT Championship by giving it back to Kross. You really think that Karrion Kross is going to lose against Finn Balor if he gets an NXT title match? No. Karrion Kross is going to win back the NXT title inevitably. And there's no one that's going to take it off of him. Because you're really gonna do Karrion Kross versus Kushida for the NXT title, right? If anything, Kushida should be the one to take the title off of Finn Balor. But now you're inserting Kushida in a North American Championship program with Johnny Gargano after Gargano just won the championship, which he shouldn't have even lost the title to begin with. Hell, Damian Priest should have never lost the title to begin with. Because you're not going to have Kushida lose. You're not going to have him go on a 4-month winning streak just to lose. He's literally beaten everyone in the main event to upper mid-card scene. He's beaten Timothy Thatcher, Cameron Grimes, Velveteen Dream, Austin Theory, Tommaso Ciampa. You're really going to have all those wins result in him losing? And Gargano, he just won the championship. Are you really going to have him have a short title reign? They're booking themselves into a corner again. All they've done is book themselves into corners. Now, maybe if Damian Priest was still the North American champion, maybe I would be a little bit more open to Kushida getting an NXT North American title opportunity because of the fact that Damian Priest had a nice long reign with the championship. But he didn't now, did he? Instead, you gave it back to Gargano. Gargano, if anything, should be positioned to fight Balor for the NXT title. Gargano's above the North American title. This is the perfect time to put Kushida in the main event scene and give him a rightful NXT Championship title reign. But you're not going to do that now, are you? No, instead you're going to have Dunn as an interim opponent for Balor. You're going to have possibly Tommaso Ciampa as an interim opponent for Balor. And then you're going to have Kross inevitably take the title off of Balor. And he's going to put a stranglehold on the title that's not going to be broken for God knows how long. You're going to call him up to the main roster while he's still the NXT champion? You're going to have him vacate the NXT title? Unreal. Bad idea. Bad idea that Kross is back in NXT. Killian Dane and Pete Dunne, they got into a brawl backstage before some refs separated them. Isaiah Swerve Scott took on Jake Atlas. Very standard match, nothing too crazy here. Isaiah Swerve Scott got cradled by Jake Atlas, and Jake Atlas actually got the win. Swerve was frustrated, and he refused to shake Atlas's hand. So Atlas is getting wins now. Let me get this straight. Atlas gets a cruiserweight title opportunity against Santos Escobar. For doing nothing, he loses, and now he's starting to get wins. I swear to God, the company is completely fucking backwards. I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but this is completely fucking ridiculous. If you were going to build up Jake Atlas, he should have gotten wins from the get-go. It's not that hard. Should have gotten wins from the get-go, then he should have been built up to face off against Santos Escobar. Ridiculous. I'm happy that he's getting wins, and let me tell you something, he's actually a lot better off now than he was back then, but seriously. Is Swerve going to turn heel? I don't know. Grizzled Young Veterans versus Imperium versus Everrise. Decent match right here. Everrise was targeted by the other two teams before Imperium and the Grizzled Young Veterans went at it. The Grizzled Young Veterans were in firm control before Everrise came in and they picked their spot. We had some swift double-team moves on Drake. Eichner was taken down. We had Snake Eyes on Drake. Eichner then saved the match double sliding drop kick to Matt Martel. Moonsault by Eichner for a 2. We have Gibson getting whipped by Everrise. They tried to steal it, but Drake was able to kick out. He got whipped to the outside. We then had Drake hitting Ticket to Mayhem, and the Grizzled Young Veterans win. Great stuff here from the Grizzled Young Veterans. The Grizzled Young Veterans undoubtedly are your next NXT Tag Team Champions. Plain and simple. Io Shirai and Toni Storm, they got into a brawl. They got into a brawl with Io Shirai standing tall. Moon then threw Toni Storm back into the ring, and Moon was able to get some revenge on Miss Toni Storm. So obviously that's a match that they're building towards. But obviously Toni Storm versus Io Shirai, that is your NXT Women's title match for the WrestleMania 37 TakeOver. Cameron Grimes, my favorite wrestler. Well, I'll tell you what we got here. We got Tommaso Ciampa versus Cameron Grimes. So, Cameron Grimes, I'm not sure if you realize this, but Cameron Grimes, he's going to the moon. Like, when you look outside on a cold winter's night and you see the moon in the sky shining bright, that's where Cameron Grimes is going. He's going to the moon. So he took on Tommaso Ciampa. This is actually a pretty damn good match. Timothy Thatcher, he actually came out to watch Ciampa's match. So Ciampa was mounting a comeback. He came back with clothesline after clothesline. We had a running knee to the jaw for 2. We had another knee by Ciampa. We had a Superman forearm by Grimes. Grimes and Ciampa then ran off the ropes, and Grimes with a beautiful Spanish fly on Ciampa for 2. Tyler Rust, one of Timothy Thatcher's students, came out and he tried to distract Mr. Tommaso Ciampa. After that, we had Ciampa on the receiving end of a roundhouse kick, and then Grimes went for the cave-in. But then out of nowhere, Ciampa reversed it, and he ended up hitting Willow's Bell for the win. This was a damn good match right here, probably the best match of the night. Afterwards, Ciampa walked by Thatcher. Thatcher said he had nothing to do with that. Cameron Grimes then walked up to Timothy Thatcher, and he's holding his jaw. So he turns Timothy Thatcher around and he goes, "I got something to say to you." He turns Timothy Thatcher around and he goes, "I'm Cameron Grimes." And what does Timothy Thatcher do? He picks the ankle, snaps the ankle of Cameron Grimes, and Cameron Grimes is wincing in pain and holding his leg. And that was pretty much that. So Cameron Grimes loses to Tommaso Ciampa. I don't understand why the feud between Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa is continuing. Ciampa won clean. That should have been it. It should have been a one and done. If anything, Tommaso Ciampa should be the next opponent for Finn Balor. He's been winning. He's beaten Velveteen Dream. He's beaten Timothy Thatcher. He's beaten Cameron Grimes. Put him against Finn Balor for the NXT title. I don't get it. So, we had Xia Li in this dark area. She was being forced to punch a wooden stand, and her fists were getting bloodied. The elderly Chinese man was saying again. Bo was getting whipped with a kendo stick. They were being tortured again. And then the mystery woman with her face covered showed face again. I don't know who this is, but let me tell you something. I fucking hated this storyline originally. I didn't give a shit about it, but now I'm very, very intrigued by it. I'm very, very, very intrigued by it. This could be a storyline that could really generate some interest in Boa, Xia Li, maybe even the NXT product if they want to go that far. But I don't really think that Karen Q is going to incite some interest in the product. Maybe Mako Satomura. That would only further enhance the women's division, of course. So, we had Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, who's terrible, and Austin Theory. They came out to address the NXT universe. Gargano said, "For months, we were going to show you the way, the present and the future. Open your eyes, because we are the way." Austin Theory then said, "The Milky Way." Obviously, he's a little slow there, is Mr. Austin Theory. So, Gargano said that he's gotten excited. Gargano said he made history when he became the first 3-time North American champion. And Candice won War Games. Gargano said that he has a surprise for Candice, and he gives her a trophy with Shotzi Blackheart's head on it. Not literally, but a doll head that represents Shotzi Blackheart. He says that next week looks like Priest and Leon want to face him and Austin. And that's okay because next week will be the same result. If you're not in the way, Candice said, stay out of our way. So Priest came out. He congratulated Johnny and then said, Theory, do you still have that pipe? Because I'm going to shove it up your ass. So he started walking down to the ring. And then out of nowhere, Karrion Kross comes from the crowd area and just blindsides Damian Priest. He threw him into the stage and then he powerbombed him off of the stage through a table. So obviously Damian Priest is not going to be competing in that tag team match next week against Gargano and Theory. And then afterwards we actually got Kushida stepping up as Leon Ruff's partner, and I already expressed my thoughts on Kushida and Gargano in a North American Championship match. It'll be a great match. Don't get me wrong, it'll be a great match, and no one's going to deny that. But at the end of the day, you pretty much booked yourselves into a corner, and I don't believe that they have been doing that with NXT this year. It is very, very frustrating, I tell you. Very frustrating. So after that, we had Malcolm Bivens. He was once the manager to Indus Share. I don't know where the fuck they are. Off of television, thank God. Malcolm Bivens pulled Tyler Rust aside to talk business. I don't know why, but we'll see what happens there. We had Pete Dunne and Killian Dane here. Really a decent match, nothing too special. Next week, they actually announced that it's going to be O'Reilly and Dunne one-on-one, and the winner gets Balor at New Year's Evil. So it looks like Pete Dunne is going to be the #1 contender for Mr. Balor. So this was a decent match. We had some decent offense here from Mr. Killian Dane. We had a powerbomb and elbow drop combo for a 2. Dane with an avalanche fisherman suplex on Dunne for a 2. We had Lorcan and Birch coming out before Maverick came out with a chair. Maverick got blindsided by Lorcan and Birch. Dane saved Maverick. Dunne then came back with a punt kick and then the bitter end to Dane for the win. And that was pretty much that. And then in the main event, we had Raquel Gonzalez versus Ember Moon. This was actually a very good women's match. A very good women's match. I'm telling you, Raquel Gonzalez, she proved me wrong. She proved me wrong. I really got to say I'm very, very, very impressed with Raquel Gonzalez. I think that Raquel Gonzalez has really come a long way, and I'm very interested in seeing what she does with Io Shirai, because you know that eventually that is coming, and that is going to be an NXT women's title match in the future. So we had Raquel manhandling Ember like a fucking ragdoll. Ember then with a single leg drop kick and a kneeling flatliner. We had a big body attack by Ember Moon before Raquel regained control. Moon with a tornado snap suplex Moon with some swift strikes. We had a handspring forearm, satellite DDT for a 2. Moon then with a suicide dive to Raquel. Raquel caught Moon and launched her into the post. And she covered her, but Moon kicked out. Raquel with a big clothesline, turning Moon inside out. Gonzalez then with the one-armed powerbomb, and she wins a very good women's match. Afterwards, Toni Storm came out before Rhea Ripley came out to help Ember Moon. And we got another stare down between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez. And that was that. So, based on the show, I can definitely see them doing Pete Dunne and Finn Balor at New Year's Evil. We're going to get Raquel Gonzalez and Io Shirai. We're going to get Karrion Kross and Damian Priest. And then we're going to possibly get Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch defending the titles against the Undisputed Era. Bobby Fish is currently out with an injury. So it's not going to be Fish. It could be Roderick Strong and O'Reilly. We could see Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. Either way, Undisputed Era versus Lorcan and Burch for the NXT Tag Team titles. That right there, that's a nice 4-match lineup for New Year's Evil. So that should be a great show to start off 2021. I just hope that they get their weekly shows in shape at the start of 2021. They really need to shape the fuck up. That was NXT. Wasn't a bad show, but the interest in the overall product, it's just dead. And I hate that. I really, really, really hate saying that. It sucks. It really does suck. So, we then had NXT UK. We got 2 more shows to go over, but first things first, let's check the chat. Kickout said DJ Storms versus GoldBerg at WrestleMania 37. Hey, I don't think GoldBerg can handle me. Danielle's lurking. Yeah, I know, I have a Jersey accent. Cool King said, imagine Swerve turning heel. It would be an interesting scenario, but Swerve for me, he's really just a pure babyface in my eyes, because he's got that Ricochet-like vibe, if you know what I mean. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But we had 2 more shows to talk about. We're talking about NXT UK here, which was good. It was good. Wasn't as good as the previous weeks, but NXT UK is certainly better than NXT. And they're operating with no fucking crowd. So, we had Jordan Devlin kicking off the show. He welcomed everyone to NXT UK. And he welcomed everyone to week 1 of the Jordan Devlin Cruiserweight Championship Open Challenge. And let me tell you something. I fucking love the fact that Jordan Devlin is doing this every week. Let me tell you something. Triple H, he knows how to fucking book heels. I am just absolutely sick and tired of these chicken shit heels. If you're a chicken shit heel, you should not be a champion. I'm absolutely sick and tired of these chicken shit heels. But this right here. Jordan Devlin is doing some excellent work, and I love how Jordan Devlin is coming out every week to defend the title. It makes him look legit. It makes him look like a fighting champion. It makes him look like a legitimate threat. It makes him look like he belongs there. This is what I want to see. Jordan Devlin, I'm telling you, when the pandemic is over, I want to fucking see him in NXT. Jordan Devlin's fucking awesome. He's fucking great. Jordan Devlin is one of the most underappreciated talents employed in the WWE. He is fucking awesome. So we had Oliver Carter answering the challenge. This was actually pretty interesting. Devlin flipped Carter back on the ropes. Carter landed pretty hard on his neck. He didn't really look like he injured his neck, but he was selling his neck. So that was the target of Devlin. Oliver Carter then mounted a comeback. He had a very nice suicide dive. We had a fake out back kick for a 2. We had a Frankensteiner from the top and then a forearm to the back of the head for a 2 by Oliver Carter. Carter with the rock bottom. Then he hit a spin kick in the corner before Devlin hit a beautiful reverse Rana, absolutely spiking Oliver Carter on the back of his neck. And then afterwards, we had Jordan Devlin hitting the Devlin side to retain the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. Jordan Devlin is fucking great. Jordan Devlin is an absolute fucking beast in the ring. Loving what he's doing. When the pandemic is over, get this fucking man on NXT. Get him on NXT. We had Supernova 11 sessions with Noam Dar. So he says his show will be acclaimed for generations, and he introduced A-Kid. He called him A-Kid. And he says that he wanted to clear up the air and says that we're not rivals. Matter of fact, I'm like your sensei. So he coined him A-Man. And he goes, give your sensei some love. So he wanted a hug from A-Kid. Tyler Bate was said by A-Kid to be his mentor. Noam Dar said, Tyler Bate is a dafty. So then Bate came out. Dar then welcomed him back. Bate then congratulated A-Kid on winning the Heritage Cup. And then Dar obviously tried to start stuff because he's a heel. Dar then suggested that they have a match. And then Bate and A-Kid agreed. And that was pretty much it. I actually didn't mind this segment, and I was actually a little bit more happy that this segment did not end in a brawl. It was pretty standard. It really wasn't anything special. It wasn't groundbreaking, but we did get this match taking place tonight between A-Kid and Tyler Bate, although I don't really understand why the match needed to be for the NXT UK Heritage Cup trophy, because realistically, what has Tyler Bate done to deserve a shot at the Heritage Cup trophy? And on top of that, why don't we just get an actual belt? Why don't we just get an actual belt? And why does it need to be defended under British rounds rules? I don't really understand that. It's really not all that impressive to me. Maybe that's just me because I don't like the British rounds rules, but regardless, the segment wasn't terrible. Could be a lot better, and I do not like WWE themed talk shows, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Afterwards, we had Eddie Dennis and The Hunt. They were toying with Sid Scala, and they're looking to become NXT UK Tag Team Champions. And next week, we actually got The Hunt versus Gallus for the NXT UK Tag Team titles. That should be a great fucking tag team match. Combined with Jordan Devlin's NXT Cruiserweight Championship match, we are looking at a great episode of NXT UK next week. If you're not watching the show, you should be watching the show. We had Xia Brookside versus Isla Dawn. Dawn was actually showing some more aggression before Brookside came back with a Hurricane Rana. Head scissor takedown. We had some double knees. We then had some random dude brought some suitcases out to the ring. And then Nina Samuels came up on the screen. Xia Brookside, like a dumb bitch, looked up at the screen and she was distracted before Isla Dawn came back with a roundhouse kick and a Saito suplex for the win. That was pretty much it. I'm sick of these fucking mid-match distractions. They need to absolutely fucking die. I'm sick of it. We don't need this shit. We don't need the fucking mid-match distractions. It does not make anyone look good. That was pretty much that. And then in the main event, we had Tyler Bate and A-Kid. This was for the NXT UK Heritage Cup. A-Kid actually looked great in this. It was decent. Really not as good as the previous British rounds matches. The match between Trent Seven and A-Kid was still the fucking best. That was still the fucking best. But I didn't mind. I really didn't mind. The back and forth between Tyler Bate and A-Kid. This was actually a pretty decent back and forth. Very standard, very basic first two rounds before Bate. He got the roll-up in the third round. He got the first fall. And then we had a much more physical fourth round. A-Kid used his submission skills against Bate, No falls took place in the 4th round. We then had a moonsault DDT off the rope. A-Kid's fucking great. Moonsault DDT off the rope, and A-Kid tied up the score. And then in the 6th round, we had an enziguri. He missed the shotgun super kick. Bate then was going for the slingshot lariat, but A-Kid reversed it into an armbar. Bate powered out of it. But A-Kid reversed a jackknife cover and cradled Bate, and he got the 1, 2, 3, and he won the match, retained the NXT UK Heritage Cup. Decent back and forth here between Bate and A-Kid. I'm loving what they're doing with A-Kid. A-Kid's fucking fantastic, and I'm very, very happy that he's finally getting the proper showcase in NXT. A-Kid is fucking great at what he does. He is excellent in the ring, and I would actually love to see A-Kid versus Jordan Devlin for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, and I would actually love to see A-Kid beat Jordan Devlin. I think A-Kid, as the NXT Cruiserweight Champion, would do wonders for him. It sucks that he's really not going anywhere. It sucks because his ceiling, I see someone that should really make it, but his ceiling just seems so low to me, just based on his size, and I don't really want to say that, but it's because of the fact that he's working for Vince McMahon ultimately. Vince McMahon wouldn't know what to fucking do with this guy. That was pretty much NXT UK. Very good show right there. Danielle and Peanuts are still dabbing. We got 18 likes. We just need 2 more likes. Come on, people. Hit the like button. We need 2 more likes. We got 1 more show to review. We're reviewing 1 more show, and then we're getting the fuck out of here. Danielle, stop dabbing. Danielle, stop dabbing. So, SmackDown. I don't even want to fucking talk about SmackDown. I really don't. I don't even want to fucking talk about SmackDown. I don't. SmackDown was fucking boring. SmackDown was absolutely fucking boring. I really do not need to explain to you how fucking terrible this show was. Outside of maybe a decent match here and there, and we got Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. They're doing some great fucking stuff. This show is fucking boring. This show is boring. So Sasha Banks kicked off the show. Adam Pearce was in the ring. He wanted to bring out Carmella, but Carmella came up on the screen after Sasha Banks realized that there was no contract. And Carmella actually said that she makes the rules now, and she had her servant bring the contract to Sasha. Carmella said she wasn't going to get in the ring with Sasha. She said that she's the hot girl playing chess. And she says that she will soon as she signs the contract, her days as champion are almost over. Sasha then challenged Carmella to the match on the show. She's like, give me the match tonight. And Carmella actually agreed. And Pearce made it official. And then she attacked Carmella's servant and did Sasha Banks. And that was it. The promo wasn't necessarily a problem. I'm telling you, look, the promo was not the problem. And I'm not even gonna bullshit you. Carmella didn't look terrible. She's not good. She's not great. She's not an in-ring technician. But ultimately, the match wasn't shaping up to be something that was bad. I wasn't watching the match and I was like, oh my god, this match sucks. I wasn't watching it like that. The match itself was not the worst thing in the world. Carmella's not necessarily a Nia Jax. She's not on the level of a Nia Jax. She's not on the level of a Dana Brooke. She's not on the level of a Lacey Evans. But she's not on the level of an Asuka. She's not on the level of a Bayley. But she's not necessarily the worst wrestler in the world. But here's what I don't understand. I really don't understand how WWE is just incapable. They're just incapable of coming up with other ways to generate interest in the show. Because I'm watching this and I'm like, are you really looking to give away a title match that was supposed to take place on pay-per-view? I don't understand. Random title matches and giving away pay-per-view matches on free television, it's not going to generate any rating increase. It's not going to generate any interest. You're not going to get quick, easy ratings just by putting out a random title match or a pay-per-view match that is supposed to take place in 9 days, 12 days, 14 days away for free. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I don't understand. I really don't understand. You pretty much wasted 12, 13, 14 minutes of our time in the main event of the show. You wasted 12, 13, 14 minutes of our time in the main event of the show just so you can do the match again at TLC, but this time with a stipulation. If that was the case, why didn't you just book a fucking stipulation for the title match at TLC to begin with? Or how about this? How about you actually book Carmella to win some fucking matches before you actually give her a fucking SmackDown Women's title opportunity? Come on. Enough. Enough with the random title matches. Enough with giving away pay-per-view matches. It's not going to generate ratings. It's not going to generate interest. This was nothing more than a desperate attempt to try and boost the ratings. And spoiler alert, it didn't work. Didn't work. We had Montez Ford versus Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler took the mic. He says, you are talking about crazy things. Dolph called the Prophets the poor man's version of Jesus and Miro. And I'm going to be quite honest, I have no idea who fucking Jesus and Miro are. If someone could enlighten me on that, I would greatly appreciate it. I don't know who the fuck they are. Rude said that you can get a good laugh at your nerdy jokes because when these two aces get our opportunity, your title reign will go up in smoke. So we get the match. Ford with a beautiful standing dropkick. Rolling blockbuster. It then started raining solo cups in the ring. Ford was making a solo cup snow angel. Ziggler was in control. Ford then mounted a comeback with a leaping clothesline, back suplex, and a standing moonsault. Ford then with an enziguri. Rude then attacked Dawkins before Ziggler took over and hit a super kick on Mr. Ford for the win. Decent match, but how could anyone fucking care? This is what I don't understand. How could anyone fucking care about this match? How could anyone care about what's going on? How could anyone support what's going on when the tag team title situation on SmackDown is the exact same situation as what they're doing on Raw? You're having singles matches between two individuals who are tag team wrestlers, and then you're having the champions lose in non-title matches just to set up a championship match at a later date. And now we get the tag team title match next week. It's such an outdated fucking concept. I don't understand how anyone could get behind this. It's the same exact shit as what they're doing on Raw. Decent match. Ford and Ziggler are two great in-ring talents, but who cares? Who cares? So Sami Zayn, that is, was in the ring. He was complaining about not having merchandise. Same typical Sami Zayn shit. Big E's music hit and he came out. And they had a match. And this is the TLC Intercontinental title match that they'll probably do. We'll probably get this match on the show. Knowing WWE, it'll probably fucking be on the pre-show. So Big E was in control going into commercial. Zayn came back with a diving elbow to Big E. He mocked Big E before Big E mounted a comeback. We had some belly-to-belly suplexes. We had a big splash. And then a big clothesline that turned Zayn inside out. Zayn then with the crossbody, but Big E rolled through. He raked the eyes. Big E raked the eyes of Mr. Sami Zayn. Or excuse me, Sami Zayn raked the eyes of Big E. I apologize. We then had a Uranagi by Big E. Sami Zayn was selling his hand. He then slapped Big E. Sami Zayn and Big E were running all around the ring on the outside. They crawled under the ring. Zayn fought free, and he slid back in the ring, and he won via countout. This is probably the best match on the show. Very good match right here with Sami Zayn and Big E. Sami Zayn, again, he's a fucking genius, but I don't understand why we needed to have this match when, A, you should be building Big E up separately. B, Sami Zayn needs a win in his own right. Why didn't you just have him beat a fucking jobber? Like, no one fucking cares about fucking Kalisto, which fucking pains me to say. No one cares about Apollo Crews, which pains me to say. But you could have had Sami Zayn beat one of those two individuals. Big E should be being built up on his own. That's A and B. And then C, if this was going to be your Intercontinental title match, why didn't you have Big E continue his winning streak and actually campaign to Adam Pearce like, hey, I've been on a winning streak. I want a championship match. Give me the title match at TLC. Why did we need Sami Zayn to win via countout, only for Big E to eventually challenge Sami Zayn again to a matchup at TLC? I don't fucking understand. I don't. Bianca Belair and Bayley had a segment in the back. They were throwing down some facts, was Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair is great. Roman and Jay, they greeted each other in the back before Kevin Owens' music hits. He walked to the ring. Jay said, let me get him, Moose. So Jay went to the ring to go get Owens. Owens brought out a table. He brought out a ladder. He brought out some chairs. He set them up. He took the microphone and he said, Roman, listen to me carefully. Even after last week, I do not fear you. As good as you are, what's actually happening is no matter how much you say that you fight for your family, you are using your family to fight your own battles. And I'm well aware I'm going to need all the help that I can get. And while my family can't physically help me dethrone you at TLC, I got a few friends. We got chairs. Chairs are cold and chairs are unforgiving. He then introduced Table. Tables are hard, but once you break her, she's very welcoming. And my last friend is Ladder. And my friend Ladder is going to not only help me beat you down, but it will help me get back to where I belong. I will give everything I have to get back to the top and become Universal Champion again. Uso then came out, and he hit Owens with a chair. He attacked the knee of Owens. Owens then got up, he hit Uso with the chair, and then he pop-up powerbombed Uso through a table. Reigns then came out. Owens was standing in the ring, ready with a chair. And Roman Reigns was about to hand the Universal title over to Paul Heyman, but Paul Heyman's like, look, wait. He's trying to bait you in. Listen, we don't operate on his terms. We operate on your terms. You make the rules here. You're the tribal chief. So Roman Reigns just smiled at Owens, and he walked away. Now, Owens obviously was not going to take this bullshit, so he ran right after Roman. And he was interviewed by Kayla, and out of nowhere, Roman came up from behind. Kevin Owens hit him with a chair and just started punching him. Now, this was my favorite part. Roman stood into the camera, and he goes, hello there, Owens family. I don't believe we've been formally introduced. I'm Roman Reigns. I'm the head of the table, your tribal chief, the man that puts food on your tables. He goes, here's what's going to happen. If you don't talk some sense into your husband, if you don't talk some sense into your daddy, I'm going to be the one that takes him off the table. This was fucking brilliant. I absolutely fucking loved the way that Roman Reigns is coming off. The way that Roman Reigns is coming off, you legitimately want to see Roman get his ass kicked. And it really helps that Owens is a great heel, but the fact that he's playing this role, this rebel so well. Owens is out there, and he's putting himself out there to a point where he's relatable. He's relatable to the fans. He's relatable to the fans. He's relatable to you. He's relatable to me. He's a family man. And the way that Roman is coming off, just a cocky, conceited douchebag. You want to see him get his ass handed to him. Roman, Jay, Heyman, and Owens, they have all done an excellent job. Whenever they are put out on television, they have done an excellent job. This was undoubtedly the best thing on the show. Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, that match has been the best built match going into TLC. Matter of fact, that may be the only match that I actually care about. Maybe Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles based on the work rate, but they haven't really done anything to make me care about the story going into the match. AJ is just an interim opponent for Drew. So then we had the Riot Squad versus Billie Kay and Natalya. Riot Squad win with the Code Breaker and Riot Kick combination. Billie Kay takes the pin. Billie Kay is exactly where she should be. She is an irrelevant jobber. She is a glorified enhancement talent that should receive minimal TV time. And if you are in support of Billie Kay, I'm thoroughly convinced that Billie Kay and her supporters are mentally challenged individuals. Thoroughly convinced. Riot Squad get the win. Not that it really means anything, but the Riot Squad should have won the women's tag team titles. Just saying. Cesaro and Shinsuke versus Chad Gable and Otis. So Otis, you had a tag team partner in Tucker with Otis, but you split Tucker and Otis up to have Tucker go to Raw and chase around the fucking 24/7 title, only to pair Otis with Chad Gable. Really. I'm happy. Listen, I'm happy that Chad Gable is finally in a role where he's not the victim of grammar school short jokes. But I mean, come on. Otis had a tag team partner already, and you already split him up. I literally think, like, the people running this company, I legitimately think there's something mentally fucked up with them. There's something mentally fucked up with them. They need to be removed from office. Otis and Gable with the quick tags to start off. Cesaro with an uppercut. Gable with a capo kick. We had a tag to Shinsuke. Otis got the hot tag. He had a big discus lariat on Cesaro. Tag to Gable. Gable was telling Otis, hey, tag me in. Otis tagged him in. Cesaro then with the swing. Over and over and over. We had a Kinshasa, and Cesaro and Nakamura win. Who cares? And I don't even think you realize how much it fucking pains me to say who cares. Because all four of these guys are great fucking performers. But I don't care. And that's on WWE. So, what do we have? Corbin was being interviewed. We had the Knights of the Lone Wolf introduced. Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake. Yeah, this is what you have them doing. Oh, by the way, we have fucking Jackson Riker being paired with fucking Elias on main event. Yeah, like that's really going to generate any interest. At this rate, the Forgotten Sons looks like the best fucking gimmick in the world compared to what they're doing right now. Corbin said if Ray wants to step up this time, there will be consequences much more severe than just losing an eye. That was pretty much that. Yeah, like I'm going to be invested in what Baron Corbin is doing with Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler. The only thing that I'm invested in as far as Steve Cutler is concerned is his girlfriend, Deonna Purrazzo. We got the Street Profits versus Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler for the SmackDown Tag Team titles next week. I saw that coming. Next week, we got Bianca Belair and Bayley, one-on-one. So, listen to this. Lana, I repeat, Lana is in a match at the TLC pay-per-view. Lana is on TLC. Lana is on the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view. But Bianca Belair versus Bayley is not. If that does not tell you how fucked up the priorities of the WWE are, I don't know. Let that sink in. Lana is on the TLC pay-per-view. Lana is on a WWE pay-per-view. But Bianca and Bayley are not. That really goes to show you, that right there, that goes to show you what WWE really thinks about the women's division. That's all you need to know. Carmella and Sasha Banks, this is the main event for the SmackDown Women's title. Really nothing special here. Wasn't terrible. It was a standard match between these two. Standard shit between these two. What we're accustomed to between Carmella and Banks. Banks with a facebuster on the apron. Or Banks caught a facebuster on the apron. Carmella delivered a facebuster on the apron. We then had a... what do we got? Got Carmella dissecting Sasha. Sasha came back with a couple meteors for a 2. We had a crossbody off the top by Carmella. We had the code of silence, but Sasha transitioned into the bank statement before Carmella's servant yanked Sasha out of the ring. Sasha came unglued. She got herself disqualified before she locked in the bank statement on Carmella's servant. Carmella then attacked Sasha and then smashed a bottle across her back and stood tall. Again, I don't understand why we needed to have Carmella and Sasha on the show if it was just going to end via disqualification just to set up another match at TLC. Why not just book the match at TLC with a fucking stipulation to begin with? Because, again, it's TLC. Who gives a shit? It is so fucking counterproductive, and it devalues the interest in the show and devalues the show as a whole. I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. That was SmackDown for you. That was SmackDown. My throat's killing me. We've been going for 2 hours and 47 minutes. I got my grandmother coming over later. She's going to be like, oh, what happened to your voice, Dominic? Oh, yeah, I'm screaming about professional wrestling. That's the Lightning Flash update. And no, I'm not dabbing. Let's check the chat. Danielle, stop dabbing. Adam says, forget about Vince throwing a fit. I throw a fit every time I see the idiot known as Dolph Ziggler on my television. You're telling me, bro. Cool King says, Carmella could improve, but having a title match on SmackDown was a stupid idea. You're telling me. We made it to 20 likes. Hey, we made it to 20 likes. Thank you. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate all of you coming here to watch me. Excuse me. I appreciate all you coming to watch me flail my arms around and listen to me rant on pro wrestling. I greatly appreciate all of you. That's been the Lightning Flash update. Thank you very much. Bless you as well. Bless all of you. Thank you for watching me blow my voice out again on a Saturday. Next week is a big week. Of course, I will post the links in the description to all my social media platforms and, of course, to the rewind for TakeOver War Games 2020 if you missed it. Like, comment, subscribe, do all of those things, share me out, tell everyone about me. Next week's a big week. Next week is a big week for the DJ Storms brand. Next week is a big weekend. Friday, December 18th, 2020 at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Top Rope Squishy. She is one of the newest content creators in the IWC. She will be joining me on the channel. She's stepping into the eye of the storm. She's stepping into my world for the rundown for not NXT. I'm still thinking about NXT. For WWE Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, excuse me. Top Rope Squishy, DJ Storms, right here. The rundown for WWE TLC 2020. That's going to be on Friday, December 18th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Next Saturday as well is the final, yes, the final Lightning Flash update of 2020. I will be joined by none other than my main man, Joseph Conlon from Big Fight Field. Joseph Conlon is an absolute beast. Joseph Conlon is fucking great at what he does, and he is going to be joining me for the final Lightning Flash update. We're going to dissect all the news, rumors, and reports going down for that week in wrestling. We're going to dissect 5 weekly shows. We're going to dissect Raw, Dynamite, Dark, I believe. I'm not sure if he watches Dark, but we could dissect Dark. We're going to dissect NXT and SmackDown as well. And then, of course, on December 21st at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time is, of course, the rewind for WWE TLC. No Lightning Flash update the day after Christmas. We're going to relax. It's the holiday season. No need to go balls to the wall. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. On top of that, I'm actually appearing on his channel. Me and Joseph Conlon are going to dissect the best and the worst, our own little Slammy Awards on his channel. That's going to be towards the end. I believe that's going to be before New Year's Eve. Check with him. Go follow him on Twitter at Conlon_Joseph. Thank you very much, Cool King. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to relax. I will catch you guys next week for the rundown for TLC 2020 with Top Rope Squishy. And remember, everybody wants a piece of the Storms Meister. Be safe, all of you. Take care. I love all of you. Danielle, thank you for the dabs. You have an awesome, awesome day. Peace. Ha ha.